Man is brought to you in part by your local Ford dealers. Quality people, quality products.
Steve Stone down on overcast Wrigley Field. Okay, we're not going to talk about the Cincinnati series. That's done. And Houston's in town. But let's get to the real important things. One of those important things, the Cubs have 2 All-Stars. Ryne Sandberg was voted in. And for the first time in his 6-year Major League career, Mark Grace has been chosen as a National League All-Star, something that's a long time coming. It probably should have happened before. It didn't. It's happened now. And Mark, you have to feel very proud of yourself and maybe just ecstatic over the selection.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really think it's actually hit me. I think it'll hit me once I get to Baltimore and get in the same locker room with all those great players that I've been chosen to play in the All-Star game. It's a situation that I was actually a little bit surprised, especially with all the talent that's out there in the National League at first base. The guy across the way from me, Jeff Bagwell, Greg Jeffries in St. Louis, and of course other guys that didn't make it like Clark, McGriff. There's just a lot of great players at first base, so it makes it even more special this year with all the great years all the guys are having to be selected. And I have to thank Bobby Cox for that, because he had a tough choice to make, and he chose me, and I got to send him some flowers.
Well, stay with us, because we'll talk to Mark Grace about hitting after these messages.
Thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes.
Steven Spielberg's classic story of man versus the sea. Jaws, the original. Monday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Summertime's the right time to save on Ford trucks, the best-built, best-selling trucks in America. Now get low 3.9% factory financing or $1,000 cash back on Ford Aerostar. Save on the best-selling Ford Ranger, too, the best-selling Ford F-150, and America's favorite sport utility, Ford Explorer. Summertime's the best time to get a great deal on every Ford truck in stock, like 3.9 financing or $1,000 cash on Ford Aerostar, but only for a limited time. See your local Ford dealer today.
Me and the folks at American Express have been kicking around some ideas for a new card application display. I like this one. Pretty good, isn't it? Excuse me, sir, would you like an application for the American Express card? A card with no interest charges.
As a matter of fact, I would.
Bit of a malfunction. Until I work the kinks out here, look for this display and take one. All right?
Everybody talking about Mark Grace says, well, he's never won a Gold Glove, even though he's good enough to do it. And he did that last year. Then they said, well, he never drives in a lot of runs. 82 is his career high. And this year, he's going to far surpass that. Mark, did you make a concerted effort this year, hitting where you are in the lineup, to drive in more runs? Or was it the fact that the 2 guys ahead of you were getting on base a lot?
I think it was a little bit of both. Early in the season, we didn't have Rhino for the first month, and I knew it was going to be a young lineup out there. Going on my 6th year in the big leagues, and Bouchard were the 2 veteran guys out there, with a lot of young guys like Ray and Jose Vizcaino and Derek May and Sammy Sosa. So I said to myself, but I better try to make a conscious effort to try to pick up the slack a little bit in Rhino's absence. And then once Rhino's been back, I have to give a lot of credit to the first 2 guys, and Dwight Smith and Jose Vizcaino or Ray Sanchez. They're all having great years. Willie Wilson, they've been on in front of me, and it's actually made hitting third on this ball club actually an easy thing to do. It just seems like every time I'm up, there's someone standing on second or third, and that's a nice feeling when you go up there and know, even if you fly out, you're going to get an RBI.
Now, you went to Japan with Cecil Fielder in the offseason. You out-homered him there, but nobody's going to confuse you with Fielder. However, this year, Mark, you've shown some pretty good power, and it looks like you're far on a pace to surpass your biggest home run total. What do you attribute that to?
Well, that's a good question. The wind is blowing out a little more here this year, but I only have 2 home runs in this ballpark. Everything else has been on the road. I think Just I have a trainer in the off season, Trent Suzuki, who we work very, very hard and try to get stronger and for the upcoming season, and I think that has something to do with it. At the time I went down, I was leading the league in doubles, so I'm driving the ball a lot better this year, and I'm very pleased with that. I don't really think there's anything I'm doing differently at the plate. Just, I've only got 8 home runs, so it's not like I'm wall banging by any means, but. Tettleton's not looking over his shoulder at me, but it's actually a fun thing. Hopefully, if I can hit 15 to 20 this year, that would be a great year for me. And it's been a career first half, and hopefully we can continue it in the second half and make a little run at the Phillies and Cardinals.
Mark, you finally got your Gold Glove last year, and I thought you should have been a Gold Glover before that. You've been just outstanding at first base for the last 4 years, perhaps, and you must have worked very hard to do that.
Well, if you remember my rookie year, Steve, I led off first baseman in errors that year, and I missed a month of the season. It was out of sheer embarrassment that I had to get out here with Joe Altobelli and Chuck Cottier and start working to be a major league first baseman. And through a lot of hard work with Chuck and Joe, I became more confident, and with the confidence, I became one of the top fielders in the National League. I keep bringing this guy up, Bagwell. I think he's probably. Other than myself and Galarraga, I think he's the best young first baseman to come along, and if I'm going to defend my title, I think I'm going to defend it against him, but he's got to come get it, because that's something I really take a lot of pride in now is my defense.
Well, congratulations, Mark, and the man will be sporting the All-Star ring in 1993. So stay with us, because we'll be back with the starting pitchers coming up after these messages.
Drop the top this summer in a new Ford Mustang convertible and get 3.9% factory financing or $1,000 cash. America's favorite pony car comes ready for fun in the sun with a power top, glass rear window, driver's side airbag, power windows and locks and more. Plus, choose from Mustang's legendary 5-liter V8, compact disc player, leather seating and more. But hurry, this 3.9% financing or $1,000 cash back ends soon. See your local Ford dealer today.
David Hepworth exported baseball jerseys exclusively to Mexico, but now the game in his jerseys are catching on in Russia. Fortunately, AT&T's favorite nation options save him money on the 2 countries he calls most automatically, like Mexico and Russia, or wherever baseball catches on next. Favorite nation options only from AT&T. Far and away the best in the business.
The success of any organization of human beings really depends upon how well they can work together. So we try to hire good attitudes. I think the easiest way to lose success is to become convinced that you are successful. I think American Express has a distinctive market. I've really been very appreciative of not just the card itself, but the service behind the card.
American Express is welcomed on airlines all around the world. Herb is kind of partial to his corner of the world.
On the mound today for Houston is Doug Drabek. He has a 7-8 record, but he's a much better pitcher than that, and he usually gives the Cubs a tough time. Throwing for the Cubs today, Mike Morgan, who has struggled of late. This is Morgan's kind of day. The wind is blowing out, so the advantage to the sinker baller, and Morgan is that. He's going to try to find that sinker again today. So it's going to be exciting, and stay tuned for baseball.
Leadoff Man was brought to you in part by your local Ford dealers. Quality people, quality products.
Paint it right, blue sight. Puts up a fight, blue sight. Stays so bright, beautiful sight, blue sight. Pure delight, blue sight. Dynamite, blue sight. Scrubs up bright, excite, excite, blue sight. Wear the tie, blue sight. Feels so right, blue sight. Black and white, colors bright. Holds on tight, blue sight. A lasting sight, blue sight. For a finish that won't quit, blue sight's right.
Just imagine if you could always do things your way. Like if you were a cartoon. Then you could give yourself your own Foot Locker with tons of Filo Rumball shoes. And then you could really jam. tune. Lucky for you, Foot Locker has tons of Filo Rumball shoes. Hey, it's a start. Foot Locker, where it all begins.
How would you like to drive a new Ford Escort with 0 down? Well, now you can. For a limited time, you can drive a new Escort with 0 down, 0 security deposit, and Ford Motor Company will even make your first month's payment. That's a special 24-month lease on America's best-selling small car, Ford Escort. 0 down, 0 security deposit, and Ford Motor Company makes your first month's payment. So zero in on your Ford dealer today and ask about the 0 down Ford Escort.
Golfers just love punishment. That's all there is to it. If he plays around here, he's in every water hazard, every bunker. But should he hit the ball from the tee to the green on the 17th hole, that's the only shot he's going to ever remember. I can't explain it, but that's golf. The American Express card is welcomed at all these TPC golf clubs, and it does just as much for the bad golfer as it does for the good golfer.
American Express is welcomed at all kinds of golf courses. No wonder the card is green.
Some cops break all the rules. Charles Durning, James Woods, and Louis Gossett Jr. are the Choir Boys. Tonight at 11:30. The following is a WGN-TV sports presentation.
The Reds beat the Cubs in the rubber game of their series yesterday. Mark Grace pinch hit. And here is his footage of him hitting a home run. And he's in a regular lineup today, and maybe he'll repeat that homer a couple of times on his way to the All-Star game. Stay with us. The Cubs play the Houston Astros. Coming your way in a moment.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9. The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser. Fresh, pure, natural. Proud to be your bud. True Value Hardware Stores. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. United, Chicago's hometown airline, is proud to be the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. By Pepsi, gotta have it. And by the Chicago Tribune, Chicagoland's choice for sports, daily and Sunday.
The best cop show ever. The best drama ever. When TV Guide honored the all-time best television shows, they singled out Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere.
You're the best.
We know you have a lot of television to choose from, so Channel 9's offering 2 hours of can't-miss quality.
Is this a bribe, Carson?
Yes.
5 nights of the best TV on TV, guaranteed. Starting Monday night at 11:30 with a 2-hour Hill Street Blues.
The laboratories of 2001 announce a major breakthrough in auto protectant technology, Formula 2001 Super Protectant. Its advanced SunStop formula helps protect against the sun's UV rays, extreme temperatures, and moisture, which cause fading, drying, and cracking. What's more, independent lab tests prove Formula 2001 provides a more brilliant, longer-lasting shine than Armor All on vinyl and leather. But what if your car's surfaces are already faded? We went to the Arizona desert to put Formula 2001 Super Protectant to the ultimate test. Watch what happens to UV faded vinyl, rubber, even dried faded leather. Get the new standard in automotive protectant technology, the one with 50% more active shining ingredients than Armor All. Formula 2001 Super Protectant with a fresh leather fragrance. And for the unique demands of tire care, get new Formula 2001 Tire Foam and Shine. Just spray and walk away. Get 2001 at these fine stores.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. We're at Wrigley Field, where the Cubs open a 3-game or 4-game series with the Houston Astros. And I'm a little bit surprised that the Astros have not been doing better.
Well, you really have to look to the bullpen to find out why the Astros haven't done better, and the name is Doug Jones. Last year he had 36 saves. This year he has just 13, and the Astros here, he haven't been able to stop anybody late. That's been their big problem because they got a pretty good lineup.
We got to talk a moment about Randy Myers and Rick Wilkins. It does seem a shame that they don't accompany Mark Grace and Rhino Sandberg out to the All-Star game, but I guess a tough problem for managers. First of all, the fans select the regulars, guys who start the game. Then the manager has to take care of his own players, and it's there are a lot of injustices every year, but I guess there's nothing to avoid it.
Well, the Rick Wilkins situation, certainly as you look at Rick, he deserves to make it. I think the real injustice, Harry, is the fact that if you're going to take Brian Harvey, and he certainly had a good first half, I don't know how in the world you can take John Smoltz. First of all, Smoltz is 7-7. His ERA is up over 3. Randy Myers with 26 saves and 28 appearances, and there's no such thing as a starter reliever in the All-Star game. After the man who starts the game, everybody's a reliever. So it's not like you need 6 or 8 starters and then only the 3 short men.
Well, we all know, of course, the managers curry favor with certain of their ball players, maybe to make them feel better, maybe because they like them better, maybe because they know they get a thrill out of going to the All-Star break. And I could explain that in the relationship of John Smoltz. But Randy Myers, if this game comes down to the bottom of the 9th inning with a tough left-hand hitter up there who may change the result, for the American League, who's been wiping the heck out of the National League in almost every All-Star game, I'd rather have Randy Myers available if I were a manager to bring in a pitch to that left-hand hitter and get him out and win the game.
And also, Harry, don't forget that the league president also has a hand in the decision. And so, anyway, Randy Myers very disappointed, as you would expect.
Well, it's not all justice. It's also politics. And here's our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Not many things are more Chicago than United, but there are a few. United, proud to fly more Chicagoans than any other airline. Come fly Chicago's hometown airline. Come fly the friendly skies.
Recently, 1 million cases of Diet Pepsi were sent free to loyal Diet Coke drinkers.
I wonder if some of them are singing a different tune now. It's got a hold on me, right in the soul of me. I'm a changed man. This is the right one, baby. Uh-huh.
It makes you wonder, what would happen if everyone tried Diet Pepsi?
No comment, baby. No doubt about it. Only one taste is the right one. Makes me feel like singing. You got the right one, baby.
What would you do if you won Lotto?
Cubs tickets.
I'd buy the Sears Tower.
Maybe a whole section.
I want to do movies.
Right along first baseline. All my friends, we're going every day.
I want to buy me a jet.
Not have to work ever again.
A diamond inlaid pool table.
I'd buy all the houses around where my brother lives, put walls up, and make him buy his way in and out.
In your dreams, whatever they be.
I'd quit this job.
Dream a little dream with me.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. As the Cubs open a 4-game series here, here's the Houston lineup today. Biggio at second base, Gonzalez in left, Bagwell at first, Caminiti at third, Eric Anthony in right, Cedeno at short, Service at catcher, Finley in center hitting eighth, and Doug Drabeck, who for an outstanding pitcher has a mediocre record. He's won 7 and lost 8. Diet Pepsi presents the Cubs defensive alignment, which consists of Derek May in left playing outstanding baseball, Willie Wilson in center, Sammy Sosa in right. Eric Yelding will fill in at third base today. Jose Vizcaino at short, Ryan Sandberg at second, Mark Grace, who was named to the All-Star team for the first time, Wilkins behind the plate, and Mike Morgan is on the hill. He's won 5 and lost 9. And the umpiring crew, our good friend Bruce Fleming behind the plate, Ed Montague at first, Mike Winters at second, and Mark Hirschbeck at third, as the Cubs take the field.
Mike Morgan will be going to the mound for his 16th start of the year, his second against the Astros. Career-wise against Houston, he's 7-7. The ERA 2.88, which is very good. That coming into 16 games. This year he's 0-1. He lost his only start. He did go 7 innings, gave up only 2 runs. And the Astros, 3 games over 500, but they're still looking up at San Francisco, who is showing no signs of letting up. Last night they pounded Philadelphia with Barry Bonds hitting 2 home runs, and the Giants pounded out 13 runs against the Phillies in what a lot of people thought just about 3 weeks ago was a lock to be the division titles. However, Harry, the Cardinals find themselves just 4 games back in the loss column, and they're making a race out of it.
Yes, they are. Mike Morgan getting ready. Irene Breland, 81-year-old diehard Cubs fan for over 70 years from Kankakee, is making her very first visit to Wrigley Field today, and there you see her. When she was 8 years old, she used to ride her pony to her grandmother's house and listen to Cubs game on radio. I can't believe that. A crystal set, perhaps. Irene is attending the game today with her nephew and niece, John and Betsy Colombe of LaGrange, both great Cubs fans. So I give well wish also to Andrea Crane at the University of Chicago Hospital, a relative of our Mandy Cohen, our assistant director up here in the booth. Derek May had 8 out of 12 in the Houston series. He has hit in 14 straight games. He'll be shooting for his 15th today. The high for the Cubs was 16 by Jose Vizcaino earlier this year.
Temperature 86 degrees. The winds are out of the west at 15 miles an hour. That means they're blowing toward the right center field seats. And it is a tough day to get the ball up in the air.
Biggio, who once was a catcher for Houston, being lauded highly. He was so fast, they figure why take his speed away from him by having him catch. Being a good versatile ball player, they turned him into a second baseman, and he's done well. Fooled him with a change of pace. Biggio hitting .263. One ball, 2 strikes. Struck him out and made him look bad. Boy, Mike Morgan looked very good with his breaking ball in that sequence. 1 out.
That was a good curveball, sweeping low and away from Biggio. And when you're ahead 0-2, this is a pretty good spot for it. He fans him easily, and this is one adjustment that's been made to the Houston lineup. Gonzalez has moved up into the 2 spot, and Steve Finley has been dropped to the 8th spot.
Well, that's hard to figure out. He was always on base, always getting the big hit, always beating out a bunt.
He was really struggling, Harry. He had his wrist broken by Candelaria.
There's a long drive. Well, way back against the wall. And Luis Gonzalez on the first pitch doubled against the center field wall more than 400 feet away.
Gonzalez crushes this ball, and Willie Wilson realizes he's not going to be able to get to it. So he tries not to get trapped too close to the wall. Willie going back, but the wind is taking the ball over his head, and Gonzalez, who is just starting to get hot, hits this one right on the button. That's his 11th double of the year.
And here's Jeff Bagwell, the rookie of the year 2 years ago, hitting .326 with 13 homers, 55 RBI. Here's another first baseman who has a right to feel disappointed by not being picked. This fella's had a great year for the Astros. .326 batting average. Pitch is high.
Mike Morgan right now is throwing the ball a little bit harder than he'd like. He seems to be very strong, and when a sinker baller is strong, everything stays above the waist. And that's really dangerous for Mike Morgan, and it's dangerous on a day like today. He has got to get the ball down to be effective.
Bagwell hitting over .300 against Cubs pitching, with 4 out of 12 a home run included. The Astros have beaten the Cubs 3 out of 4 this year. 1 on, 1 out. 2 balls and a strike. Pick-off play to Sandberg. He's back.
Now Gonzalez is the best base runner on this team. He's stolen 14 bases, been caught only twice, and you have to keep a close eye on him. Mike Morgan just used pretty good pickoff play, but Gonzalez got back.
2 balls and the strikes. Bagwell hitting .250 against Morgan during his career, was 7 out of 28.
Morgan has only given up 4 home runs this year in 99 innings, but if he doesn't get the ball down, he's going to give up a couple today.
Three-one pitch. Bounced it foul down the first baseline. Ken Caminiti, their fine third baseman's next. He's homered off of Morgan previously. Hot shot. Yelding up with a holds the runner at second. That tells them out at first. And that is why they call it the hot corner. That ball was really hit hard. A scorcher right at Yelding, who threw Bagwell out.
Ray Sanchez is still suffering from that injury that he strained in Colorado, and so Yelding has got to move across the diamond to play some third today. Buechele getting the day off, and Yelding making pretty good pickup and a good solid throw, and he's proving to be a pretty handy man to have around for Jim Lefebvre.
There's Caminiti's 1 out of 16 against the Cubs pitching this year, and that one hit was a home run. Switch hitter, swing, fouls it back, and the count is even up. A hot day. Seems warmer than 86 degrees, the announced temperature at game time. Good crowd again. They're still coming in. Imagine it'll be about 30,000. Cubs have been averaging almost 32,000 per date. Good curveball, and he missed it.
Caminiti had a monstrous year last year where he hit .294. He hit 13 home runs, drove in 62 runs. This year the batting average down somewhat, and he's had a lot of physical problems. He just fouled the ball off his knee, and his knees are giving him a lot of difficulties, as are his shoulders. So it's been a tough first half for Caminiti.
A little bit inside. Morgan tried to slip the fastball by him. A twilighter tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock Chicago time. Boy, it ought to be nice and cool by 4 o'clock. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out to end the inning. On a chain. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the first. No score.
It's a round world, genuine and true. It keeps on spinning and you always come through. And you're giving it your best. Proud to be your bud. Budweiser. Proud to be your bud. Proud to be your bud. Ooh, yeah. Proud to be your. Proud to be your bud.
Around here, folks believe in making things last. Relationships, neighborhoods, and the family automobile. And who wouldn't want to see that 100,000-mile mark? So it's no wonder so many rely on their neighborhood 76 station. Here you'll find quality gasolines and services to help keep your car humming along. We can't promise you'll see that 100,000-mile mark, but we're glad to help you try. 76. Go with the spirit.
There are a lot of reasons people walk into my True Value store. Sometimes it's convenience. We're right in the neighborhood. Sometimes they want advice, and sometimes they're bargain hunting, looking for true values.
Like the July Bargain of the Month, the Rubbermaid 18-inch occasional table. This sturdy round table is perfect for outdoor entertaining. It won't crack and never needs painting. And in July, it's just $5.99 while quantities last.
You know, the name says it all. True Value.
At Wrigley Field, every game's a memory. On Sunday, July 11th, watch as the Cubs players face off against their children and wives in the annual family game prior to the Cubs-Astros game. Sponsored by Anderson Consulting.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. Diet Pepsi presents the Cubs lineup of Wilson at center, Vizcaíno at short, Sandberg at second. Mark Grace hitting cleanup. May in left, Sosa in right. Wilkins catching with Eric Yelding hitting eighth and third. And Mike Morgan on the hill. The defensive alignment, Gonzalez in left, Finley in center, Anthony in right. Caminiti, Cedeno, Biggio, and Bagwell around the infield. Scott Service catching, and Doug Drabek pitching. And boy, he has been tough. During his career, he's beaten the Cubs 15 times. The lone time he pitched against them this year, he shut them out. Here's Wilson. Hey, Jimmy Pearsall, how you doing? Get a microphone. Give that man a microphone in the gallery. Now the pitch. Hey, line drive right to Bagwell. I made a nice play. It wasn't really hit too hard. Kind of hit it off the handle. Hey, listen. Where are all those phenoms from the minor league?
Years in the minor league system. I've seen many of these youngsters come out of our organization and come up. And right now in the minor league system, Harry, we've got a lot of young people who may be a year or two away, but it's very tough to get somebody ready for a miracle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
But
in other words, they've had to start their farm system all over.
yes, Himes and Goldis have done a great job with their fundamental program and also their discipline program, and then have gone out with new scouts that have come up with a lot of players.
I noticed they were drafting more players from colleges than they did before.
Well, Harry, we've got a lot of, in Port St. Lucie, one of our rookie teams, we have 3. There are 18 and 19-year-old kids with good bodies learning how to play, and this takes time.
Well, it's good to hear you be optimistic about the future.
I am, Harry, and we've got some young people. You know, Zambrano, you've seen this young man.
Yeah.
He's hitting 320, and when they want him, he's ready with 18 home runs and 64 RBIs.
I would imagine he'll be the first one they'll call up, maybe after the All-Star break.
Robertson is hitting 313 with 16 home runs and 49, and this guy is the best fielder in the organization outside of Ramsey, but he's a complete player when they bring him up, when they want him. And that's a big help. And then we got some young pitchers. You know, our #1 draft choice, this youngster named Derek Wallace. He's 3-1 in Orlando. And we got a kid named David Stevens. He's 6-1 at AA. He throws at 90.
You know, I'm going to ask you something about the A, AA, AAA, just a moment. 1 out, nobody on. 3-2 is a count of this Caino, and he drew a base on ball. Now, the guys have been bringing up from AAA. They've been bringing up for 2, 3, 4 years. And each year they send them back. They're not up to it. Now maybe the day has come when instead of bringing the guys we've already seen, they're going to have to rush up guys in AA and let them learn how to pitch in the major league.
Well, I think, too, if a youngster plays like Robertson about 4 years and Zambrino about 5, they've learned to play. All of a sudden, some guys mature later. You know what I mean? They blossom later, and I think that's what Ed is doing right now. But I think that pitchers can come up from AA like Stevens and do a good job if you can throw the ball hard and you've had some experience.
Now, listen, Jimmy, I hate to tell you this, but I cannot believe a guy like you wouldn't know better than to sit way over there in the corner in the Bob Uecker seats and not give Arnie a chance to show you on TV.
You know, Arnie,
that's not the Pilsol I used to know.
Well, I used to hog it all the time, Harry. I'd never let you talk and always worried about the fact. You know, they say, how did you work with Harry Carey? I said, well, if I touched him, he let me in. And the favorite line he used to say, if you haven't got anything to say, don't go in. And that's what I hear some of these announcers today who go in too much that are trying to help the head announcer.
Hey, let me use my O-line on you. Just a second here. Here's Sandberg. Remember the first time I said, hey, Jimmy, have you taken your pills today? And what did you say?
And I used to say this every year to me, Harry. I said, I'm the only guy that takes a test every year, gets his papers to prove that he's well. But I thought the greatest line that you ever had, Harry, when I said to you, did you pay your alimony this month? And you said to me, yes, I did. And you wrote a little note in there and you said, how long is this going to go on? In about a month, I said, how are things going, Harry? She sent back another note, till death do us part, sweetheart.
Here's the pitch inside. So with a runner at first, 1 out, the count 3-0 on Sandberg with Mark Grace coming up next. You know, every club, we get down to the same thing, and so is it with this year's Cubs. Of course, nobody foresaw all the injuries that happened to the pitchers all at the same time. Here's a strike call. But the problem still is pitching, isn't it?
It certainly is. If you don't have any pitching, and when our pitching broke down up here, believe it or not, that breaks your whole ball club up, because now you bring up some pitchers who really you hope are qualified, but then they come up and they're pretty scared. They have the responsibility of doing the job right away, and the 3 of them that came up didn't get the job done.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Sandberg over the first instead. Well, Jimmy, you look wonderful. How's Jan?
Jan's fine.
She still make those brownies?
Brownies. Jan's Major League Brownies. She drives me crazy. But I think, Harry, working with the kids I love. I go to Geneva on Sunday. I'll be there 5 days. Then I go to Huntington. You know, it's really fun to help develop young people. And these kids today are a lot more appreciative than you think.
Here's the runner going. The line drive deflected by the pitcher. Everybody is safe. Sandberg ripped the single off of Drabek's glove as this Caino was running on the 3-1 pitch. The hit and run was on. If Drabek holds the ball, it's an easy double play. It was hit too hard to hold. It drops. Both men are safe. And here's Mark Gray.
Boy, Harry, what an easy park to look at. There's a line drive off the glove. That's a tough play. Sometimes that ball hit pitcher in the head. But this field is in such great shape, Harry. I'm always amazed when I come into this ballpark to see the fans here every afternoon.
Yeah, but they can't say things here because of the size of the ballpark, I don't think. Well, maybe so. Fenway Park's not that big, but it's a strange. There's a smash, base hit. There's a runner around third, racing for the plate, the throw. Save! The Cubs have drawn first blood. And Mark Graves has celebrated his selection to the National League All-Star team for the first time in his career with a single driving and a run, his 57th of the year.
You know, Harry, when he's playing, he's been hitting that ball hard. He must be much stronger this season. I haven't seen many ball games, but on television, he's driving the ball harder to left field instead of those little loopers he hit many times, and also hitting home runs to the opposite field.
He's having a great year. He's going to go well over 100 RBIs. Jimmy, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to be with your old pal during the All-Star break, Pete and Donna, his lovely wife, Anakin. And I know we'll be coming up.
I get tired of him talking
bit.
about you all the time when I'm with him, but we love Pete Van Nokken, don't we?
We certainly do.
Thanks, Harry.
Okay, buddy. Keep up the great work. Here's a curveball a little bit inside to Derek May, shooting for the 15th game in a row. He has a hitting streak of 14 straight. 1-0. The Cubs are out in front. Well, they've done better already in one inning than they did in 9 against Drayback earlier this year when he shut them out. There's a drive way back against the wall. 15 games in a row. 1 run in. The other one stops at third. Holy cow. Did he turn on that one? That's a 15th game in a row he's hit safely in, and he too has driven another run, his 46th.
Derek May is doing everything humanly possible to improve his game. He's working hard. He's talking with Jim Lefevre. He's talking with Billy Williams, and everything is paid off for him. Now, you don't want to try to extend Mark Grace here. The fact that he's playing today is somewhat surprising in that his leg is not 100%. But he realizes that the Cubs are not playing good baseball and they really need him. And so he is in the lineup, but Chuck Cartier didn't want to try to score him. And look at the swing of Derek May. He's staying in. He's keeping his head straight down on the ball, and good arm extension as he takes that low pitch and drives it hard over the head of Anthony and right. And for the first time in a long time, the Cubs are just pounding away at Doug Draybeck, and this is a most unfamiliar sight.
You know, Steve, Derek May's trouble was the inside pitch. So jam him with it, he wouldn't turn on the ball. And that's what Billy Williams has done such a great job of teaching him how to get out in front on an inside pitch. And boy, he pulls that ball now for his power. Here's Sammy Sosa with 17 homers. He had a home run cut.
Now, the last time these two guys hooked up, Doug Draybeck made Sammy look like a little leaguer. And don't think for a minute that Sammy doesn't remember that game. Draybeck just swept that breaking ball away from him. I think he struck him out 3 or 4 times in that game, and Sammy certainly is ready for a little payback. And he's got 2 runners in scoring position, only 1 out. And Draybeck had better not hang the curveball to Sosa.
During his career, though, Sosa has had 3 out of 8 against Drayback, including a home run. Swings, and he fouls it back. Funny thing about Derek May, against Drayback during his career, he had only 1 out of 17. That's an 0.59 batting average, and that 1 hit was a home run. This time, on the first time up, he doubled to right. High foul ball out of play into the stand.
Now what you have to watch here if you're Mark Grace, you have an 0-2 count on Sosa, and you got to figure that Draybeck is going to try to throw a curveball low and away. Now he's thrown 7 wild pitches this year, but service perhaps a little better than Taubensee at blocking low pitches. Still, if he sweeps that breaking ball away in the dirt, Grace might have a chance to score.
2-0 Cubs. 1 out. Runners at second and third. Outside. You know, that Scott Service, a pitcher, we saw him with Colorado a couple days ago. He was reclaimed on waivers by the Reds, who first lost him to the Colorado Rockies. His first name also is Scott. Scott Service, a pitcher, Scott Service, a catcher. We may have a Scott Service battery someday. Outside, although they spell their names different. This Service spells it S-C-R-V-A-I-S. The other one spells it plain service. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, 2 in. Rick Wilkins waiting to hit next. And Service trots out to talk to Doug Grayback.
Since the last time we saw Houston, Scott Service has taken over behind the plate, and now he's pretty much the everyday catcher. Here's a young man hitting .286, and he's hit 8 home runs with 24 driven in. If you figure Taubensee and Service together, they've had 13 home runs, and that's a pretty good position behind the plate for a platoon.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And the delivery. Swung and he fouled it off again. He's getting a good swing. Sosa has naturally a home run swing. He kind of swings up on the ball. A natural lift to his swing. When that is bad is when he also turns his head. Most people do that in golf, except Steve. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Low and outside, just barely missed.
Well, Sammy has shown a lot of patience with Doug Grayback as he's been nipping at the outside corner with that curveball, and Sammy hasn't been swinging. And Billy is pretty happy because that's one of his leading pupils, and Sammy usually is diving out there to get the curveball, but this time, no deal.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Watch this one. Ground ball. Pitcher covers. Nobody tries to score. Nice play by Bagwell, and Sammy hit the ball off the end of the bat. He's out. From Bagwell to Grayback, the runners holding their positions.
Mark Grace had high praise for Jeff Bagwell before the game. He thinks that somewhere along the line Bagwell is going to be heir apparent to the Gold Glove. It's probably not going to be this year, however, as Bagwell has 7 errors. But you could see on that little hopping ball that took a bad hop that Bagwell's got a pretty good glove at first.
And here is Wilkins going to be intentionally passed to bring up Eric Yelding, who's been batting 8th, playing 3rd today. Eric went from the Cubs to Houston for a while, using the same role the Cubs are using him in as a utility man, pinch runner, pinch hitter, play every position in the infield or outfield.
Well, you can tell that the Astros have, number 1, an advanced scout like most teams, and number 2, read the box scores, because they know that Rick Wilkins has been red hot. They know what he's done of late, and they don't want any part of him in this situation. They've got the base open. They might as well take their chances with Eric Yelding with the right-handed Grayback on the mound.
Caminitian and Grace having a little conversation around third base. The outfield playing him very shallow. Yelding hitting .257 with 1 home run. Curveball in there, a beauty. If Grayback can get out of this inning with only 2 runs scored, he will have been fortunate indeed.
Well, Grayback usually has outstanding control, but this inning he's been behind hitters consistently, and that's really unusual for him.
Fouled and out of play. 0-2. The outfield shallow, the infield straight away. A high pop foul near the stands and out of play. And you can see why Yelding is not a good hitter. Against a right-hander, he is giving it to plate all the time. Almost like having his foot in a bucket.
Drabek has 6 complete games this year, and that's a pretty high total considering that the Astros only have 9 as a team. But he's thrown 31 pitches already, and this is as hot and humid a day here at Wrigley Field as we've had in a long time. So odds are he's going to need a little help today.
Bases are loaded. Fastball outside. But remember, he's from outside Houston. He gets a little out there, too.
Well, he also pitches in that dome all the time, Harry, and that'll save you down there.
Yeah. Not until you get in the dome, though.
No.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Yelding. Whoop. He had called time.
And Drabek was the only one who didn't know it. Bruce Fleming stepped out. Scott Service relaxed. Eric Yelding was out of the batter's box. And Drabek was in his delivery.
Grace and Derek May have driven in the runs. 2-0 Cubs. High pop foul out of play. And Yelding's not taking much of a swing. You can tell he's just trying to make contact.
But he is accomplishing one thing. Regardless of the outcome of this at bat, he's making Drabek work. And many times it's like a boxing match where you use a lot of body punches early and it wears down the fighter later in the fight. Same thing with pitchers. If you make them work early in the first inning, let those pitches pile up, it might come to tell in the 7th, sometimes the 6th inning, where he might tire.
Now ready? Low and outside. Well, Major League Baseball is without a 400 hitter today. Neither Galarraga nor John Olruden. They're both under 400. They've been leading each league over 400 for quite a while. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You know, it's small wonder. It's tough to hit 400. If you get 1 out of 3, you feel pretty good. You're hitting .333 for the day, but you lose a percentage point. And that's what's happening to both of them. Fouls it again. Attaboy, Eric. Stay alive.
Yelding has only fanned 4 times. This is his 36th at bat. So he's done a pretty good job of making contact as Billy Williams looks on, and he's done a remarkable job with these hitters. This team has been 2nd in the National League in hitting most of this year. Now, it's not Billy's fault that they don't draw many walks because he can't swing the bat for him.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Bases loaded. And now Yelding calls time. A little war of nerves. Meanwhile, the hot sun continues to shine. Ground ball up the middle. He may beat it out. Watch his play. Safe. A run is in. 3-0. Yelding hit one right back up the middle. Drabek got his glove on the ball but couldn't hold it.
Well, we've had some great at-bats during this homestand, and this one by Eric Yelding is certainly one of them. He drives in just his 2nd run of the year, but he battled Drabek all the way down the line, and the Cubs will bat around here in the 1st inning.
And here is Mike Morgan. Bases again loaded. Another run is in. The Cubs lead 3-0. Morgan is 1 out of 32 for the year. He had a cut, but he fouled it back. The bases loaded. 9 men have batted. 3 have scored. 3 are on base. 2 are out. And here's Morgan. Swung, and he missed the curveball. Cubs lead 3-0. Morgan trying for his 6th victory of the year. Drayback shooting for his 8th. Fouls it back. You know, during the times they were waiting for the free agents to sign with ball clubs, the 2 most coveted players were Greg Maddux of the Cubs and Doug Drayback of the Pirates. And they both have identical records, 7 and 8 this year for their new teams. But both have pitched very well. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Drayback now the 39th pitch he's made. He's going to make at least 40 to get out of this first inning, and that is a whopping total. But you can tell by that graphic, last year he had trouble in the first inning with an ERA over 5.
Sack him out. 9 men batted, 3 scored, 3 were left. And at the end of 1, the Cubs lead 3-0.
The in-your-face fadeaway. Arc times velocity equals a 3-point shot. Translation, Electric Avenue beats the shorts off of Best Buy.
Scotty, just look at the Electric Avenue All-Star lineup. Sony, Panasonic, RCA, Apple, Maytag, GE. Plus, Electric Avenue will match any store's advertised price, guaranteed.
Teeny little guys, weren't they?
In today's uneasy economy, insurance companies face one financial hazard after another. But one has held a steady course. That company is Aflac.
Hey, Marathon's got the coolest summer offer going, and you gotta have it. Free Pepsi. Just fill up with Marathon Super M, and you'll drive away with a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi free, right on the spot. And you can also join our Super M Frequent Fueler program. 4 fill-ups gets you $4 off on Marathon Super M Premium Gasoline. Free Pepsi. Free Super M. Gotta have it. Only at Marathon.
Instead of flying to LA, taking a cab to a hotel, taking another cab to Disneyland, taking a cab back to the hotel, taking a cab back to the airport, and flying back home, you can come to a park that's bigger than Disneyland and much closer to home. Six Flags Great America, with more fun for the whole family. Like the exciting new Batman Stunt Show, riding those incredible heart-pounding thrill rides like Batman the Ride, and meeting Bugs Bunny and his friends. It's got everything, and it's a lot easier to get to. Six Flags Great America. Nothing else comes close.
Some cops break all the rules. Charles Durning, James Woods, and Louis Gossett Jr. are the Choir Boys. Tonight at 11:30.
Harry Carey back the way. Wrigley Field. Tom and Jim Wasilewski and their wives from Washington, D.C. are taking in the ball game. Eric Anthony leading off, hitting .271. One ball, one strike.
Gabor Bushy of Suburban Buick on hand, as is Irv Siegel of Lauren Buick and Rich Scapel of Scapel Buick.
There's a pitch fouled out of play. President Lou Schwartz of the American Sportscasters Association looking for a permanent place to locate the Hall of Fame. Swung and he missed. He went around. And Anthony is fanned. Eric Anthony tried to stop his swing, but he had gone too far. One out. Let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Here's Andújar Cedeno, the brilliant young shortstop of the Astros. Bouncing ball on the first pitch. There's a throw by Yelding. Easy out.
Cub fans, what do Jim Lefebvre, Ryan Sandberg, Mark Grace, and the rest of the Cub team have in common? They'll all be on board the Cubs Care Cruise Wednesday, July 28th, and you can too. Tickets are $200 per person with proceeds benefiting Cubs Care. So for more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
There's Scott Service, 1 out of 6 against the pitching of Mike Morgan during his career. Takes the strike call.
Sinker ballers usually are a little better as they go along because the ball has a little more break to it. The fastball sinks a little bit more as they get over that early game strong feeling that usually they have.
That evens it up, a ball and a strike. Scott Service hitting .286, 8 homers, 24 RBI. Hit him, hit by a pitch ball. And he took that, a glancing blow.
That's the third time that Service has been hit this year, as we'll watch it again. And if you're going to get hit, this is probably the best way to do it. Just barely tipping the uniform. And the first man that Morgan has hit all year long.
There's Steve Finley, who's hit 2 homers during his career against Morgan and has hit .367 against Morgan's pitching. He's hitting only .249 this year with 1 out of 12.
.249 doesn't sound like much, but since he's been dropped in the 8th spot, he's raised his batting average some 30-odd points.
There's a hit up the middle. And that'll bring up Doug Drabek, who's a good hitting pitcher. Drabek has hit 1 homer this year. And he's 4 out of 41 with a double and a home run included. So 2 on, 2 out, and Drabek. Little tap right back to Morgan. He's got it over to first. That retires the side. 1 hit, 2 left, no runs. We go in the bottom of the second. The Cubs lead 3-zip.
They came from the darkest corner of the galaxy.
First contact is our most important mission.
And they brought with them the games they play.
Chula! Can I win?
Prepare yourself for a new kind of sport.
4 officers have just disappeared.
We're playing for our lives here.
Where to win, you must survive.
Choose their path.
What is wrong with you people?
Next time on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Sunday night at 7 on Channel 9.
What could 4 minutes cost if your 800 service goes down? If you're big in the travel business, $240,000. But with us, you can stay on course. Introducing the AT&T 800 service Never Miss a Call guarantee. Now, if there's a problem, we can reroute your calls in less than a second. Sign up for the Never Miss a Call guarantee. It's the #1 reason with AT&T 800 service. It's always smooth sailing. AT&T, the best in the business, guaranteed.
Think only a Southwest cantina can make authentic Santa Fe fajitas?
Look again, it's Bennigan's.
Now Bennigan's has Santa Fe fajitas made the authentic way. Grilled chicken or beef in our spicy marinade de mesa with a fiesta of peppers wrapped in Santa Fe tortillas. Served sizzling. Bennigan's new Santa Fe fajitas.
The fajitas with Southwest flair.
Look again, it's Bennigan's.
Cubs fans, with construction on the Kennedy and parking restrictions in the Wrigleyville area, now more than ever it pays to ride the CTA. For route information for trains or buses, call the CTA at 312-836-7000.
Harry Carey and Steve Stone. Well, they're a couple of nuns, sisters. Getting to be a habit with Arnie. We go into the bottom of the second. Jack Sheets, who is Doug Jennings' father-in-law, the dad of Doug's wife, Laura Lee, watching the ball game here today. Willie Wilson takes a strike. Debbie Peristinatus. I don't know. She's the cousin of one of our East cameramen, Jim Tianis. I think I figured out that Peristianis is really Jim Tianis's full name. Because here's the pitch. Line drive deflected off of both Drabek's glove and also Biggio's glove. And it's retrieved in sharp center by Craig Biggio. Base hit for Wilson.
Drabek must feel like he has a target on him because 3 times already the Cubs have hit the ball back off his glove. This one he couldn't deflect. Biggio couldn't deflect it. And Wilson winds up at first base. So the Cubs hitting Drabek very hard here in the early going.
A runner at first, nobody out. Is Vizcaino, who started a 3-run splurge in the first, drawing a base on ball. A base hit by Sandberg. A base hit by Grace, driving in a run. A double by May, driving in another run. An intentional pass to Wilkins. A hit by Yeldings, driving in still another run. And that's how the Cubs got their current lead of 3-0. Now that was funny. Willie Wilson started off of first like there was a hit run, then stopped, and then started again, and then the pitch was fouled off. I don't think he was sure of the sign.
Hard to figure out what that sign was, Harry. That might be the hit, then stop and run. Because that's exactly what Willie was doing at first. Well, maybe he'll figure this one out from Chuck Cartier.
Wilson the lead. There he goes. Here's a peg, and he is saved for the stolen base. Wilson steals second.
That's a 5th stolen base for Willie Wilson. He's only been caught 1 time. And Willie has got a torn uniform for his efforts at second. Service is not a great thrower. And Wilson exploits that here. There's the tag, but Brian Winters says that he was in ahead of that tag.
So Vizcaino now has a man in scoring position with nobody out. Cubs leading 3-0. He bunts. Beautifully done to throw. Sacrifice. He's out by a step. And Wilson's at third with 1 away. Nice play by Caminiti.
Here's the 6th sacrifice bunt for Vizcaino, and he does it beautifully. So Jim Lefevre realizing you don't get too many shots at Doug Drabek. When you have an opportunity to pick up a run, you might as well do it. And a fine play by Caminiti as he throws him out. And Vizcaino gets the job done without a time at bat.
I want to see if I have the deduction powers of Sherlock Holmes. The fine cameraman for Channel 9, Jim Tianis. Here's the infield in. He brought his cousin up here from Australia watching her first baseball game. Her name is Debbie Peristianis. So I'm deducting that Jim's name was originally Peristianis. Now Jim Tianis. Whatever, Debbie's having a good time at the ballpark. Sandberg with the infield in. Curveball high. Ball 3. Sandberg ripped a line drive off of Doug Drabek's glove for a hit in the first. Yosh Kawana's got to repair Willie Wilson's trousers. The pitch. There's a slider over the outside corner, 3-1.
This is the same situation as Sandberg faced in the first inning. Drabek fell behind 3-0. Got a fastball over the outside corner, and that's when Sandberg had a pretty good swing. And this time the infield is in at all 4 positions.
Infield in. Line shot into center field. Caught by Finley. The run easily scores after the catch. Boy, did he ever cream that ball. And Finley made a good play because I bet you it was acting like a knuckleball. It was hit so hard. And Wilson tagging up scores to make it 4-0. Sandberg's 28th RBI.
Well, this is what happens when you fall behind to a good hitter. You've got to lay one in there, and Sandberg took a good aggressive swing, hit a line drive rocket to center field. And Rhino is starting to come alive. He is starting to really pop the ball, and he's got a lot more bat speed these days.
Here's Mark Grace, who drove in the first run of the game with a single to left. Curveball in there. I mentioned Lou Schwartz of the American Sportscasters Association. They're looking for a more central city to build a Sportscaster Hall of Fame. Here's the pitch low. And if you have any interest, write to ASA, number 5 Beekman Street, New York, New York, 10038. Fouled it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's going to take Drabek at least 52 pitches to get out of 2 innings. And that is perhaps the highest total that he's used in 2 innings this entire year.
Not even to mention the time. 2 balls. Whoa, look out. Ball 3 almost hit him. 3-2. Mark Grace, base is empty. 2 out. 4-0 Cubs. Nice crowd on hand, around 30,000 or thereabouts. Line drive, left field, hit hard but out. Louis Gonzalez makes the catch. Boy, both Sandberg and Grace really creamed the ball. 1 run, 1 hit, nobody left. At the end of 2, the Cubs are out in front 4-0.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is Montgomery Ward, where things are really changing.
This is your world.
Come fly the friendly skies.
This neighborhood, you just want to help people.
Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. Jaws, the original. Monday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. Here's Craig Biggio on the first pitch. Bouncing out to Vizcaíno. 1 away. These Astros are swinging at the first pitch quite a bit.
That's going to help out Mike Morgan.
Hey, our Aflac trivia question's rather interesting today. Which major league team has gone the longest without being no hit? There's a pitch. Almost hits Louis Gonzalez.
No, it does hit him.
And it does hit him. Second man that Morgan has hit. Here's the question. My answer is none of the above.
And I'll say the Cubs.
My answer would be the New York Mets. None of the above.
Well, I know the Mets have never thrown a no-hitter as a team.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but I think they've been no-hit. But we'll see.
Who did Pappas no-hit?
San Diego.
San Diego. One out, one on. Jeff Bagwell bounced out his first time up. This is a good-looking ball player. The way he's playing first base the last couple of years, I bet you would never have thought he came to the big leagues as a third baseman. But because the Red Sox had Boggs at third, they traded him. And because the Astros had Caminiti at third, they realized he couldn't play third, so they made a first baseman out of him.
And they also knew that they didn't want to sign Glenn Davis to a big free agent contract, so they traded him to Baltimore, opening first base for Bagwell.
Here's the pitch inside.
You know, Mike Morgan went all year without hitting anybody, and he's hit 2 in the first 3 innings and almost got a piece of Bagwell there.
1 ball, 1 strike. Strike called over the outside corner. Now Bagwell started in professional baseball with the Sarasota Red Sox in 1989. He was a third baseman and a second baseman. There goes a runner. There's a long, high drive. Might be out of here. It could be. It is a home run. Bagwell. I think that's a 5th hit off of Mike Morgan. And now the lead is cut in half with 1 swing of Bagwell's big bat.
Well, we talked about Mike Morgan early in the game throwing more fastballs up than he usually does. And this shows you what kind of wind there is today, blowing out of the west at 15 miles an hour. Willie Wilson called for that ball very early, and yet the ball kept drifting. And we'll watch it again. You see where this ball is. It's up in the eyes of Bagwell. When a sinker baller gets the ball up there, it's danger.
Here now, Ken Caminiti, the third baseman. Handsome kid, 2 runs are in. There's a drive, but foul and out of play. You know, Bagwell figured in the trade from the Red Sox to Houston for veteran pitcher Larry Anderson. Bagwell's out of Middletown, Connecticut. Went to college at Hartford. There's a line drive, center field coming on. Base hit. Caminiti, single to center.
Cub fans, due to an overwhelming fan response, the 1993 Chicago Cubs All-Star Kids Clinic is sold out. There are no tickets available on the day of the event, and checks postmarked after July 7th will not be accepted. Once again, the 1993 Chicago Cubs All-Star Kids Clinic is sold out. The Chicago Cubs and WGN-TV say thank you for your generous support.
Here's Eric Anthony. And here's another guy capable of hitting the ball out onto Sheffield Avenue, if not Waveland Avenue. You know, Bagwell's an interesting study in the stats. Anthony, who forced Caminiti, winds up at second base.
That's the 9th error of the year for Vizcaino. You can see the flat-footed throw. Now he's trying to avoid getting hit by Caminiti. Watch the flat-footed throw. When you don't get much of a follow-through, it's real hard to throw the ball where you want to. And there's a flat-footed throw trying to get out of the way of Caminiti. And he can't lead Morgan enough, and the ball goes in the dugout for an error.
There's Andújar Cedeno hitting .322. Curve into the dirt. Good save by Rick Wilkins.
Don't be deceived by what looks like a fairly thin body on the part of Cedeno. He almost hit one in the upper deck yesterday in Houston. That was one of the longest home runs of the year, and this young man is going to be quite a hitter.
The pitch. Swung and a miss.
Right now, as a very young man of just 23 years old, he's still a wild swinger. But he's cut down his swing in situations where he needs to make some contact, and usually with 2 strikes, he won't be trying to hit everything out of the park. And that batting average, most impressive, well over 300 most of the year.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bouncing ball. Should be easy. Yelding over to first to retire the side. So 2-run score. There were 2 hits. 1 air, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 3rd, 4-2 in favor of the Cubs.
Hitting advertiser in Cubs baseball is Burger King, where you can always get it your way right away. I love this place.
His dad's being held hostage in the Middle East, and he's going in to get him in a stolen F-16. Louis Gossett Jr., Iron Eagle, Saturday night at 10:30.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field, and here is Derek May, who doubled in the run his first time up. Takes the strike. Bill and Ken are watching at Sneaky's in St. Petersburg, Florida. That must be a great place. Curve is inside. How about that Affleck? One ball, 1 strike. The pitch by Drayback. Drive will be caught maybe this time. Yep. Ooh. Finley almost overran it. 1 out. Yeah, you're right. Stopped by Sandy Koufax. 4,249 games ago.
At least they went down to a pretty good pitcher, Harry. Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax.
You know, I always pick Koufax on an all-star team. Koufax is my left-hander and Bob Gibson my right-hander. And I don't know how you can beat those 2. 1 out. Sammy Sosa misses. Arnie Harris just mentioned to me that in the game where Sandy Koufax shut out the Cubs, he pitched a no-hit game. And another left-hander named Bob Henley, pitching for the Cubs, only gave up 1 hit, but lost. Boy, that's how long it's been. How tough it's been to win. Even with a 1-hitter, you lose.
Sammy can't seem to wait long enough on Drayback. He's throwing him a steady selection of off-speed breaking balls, and Sammy pulling off everything out in front of everything. It's tough to hit anybody when you're looking fastball, and when the left shoulder flies out of there if you're a right-hand hitter.
He swings, fouls it back. That year is 63. It's 65. Jim Lefevre was the Rookie of the Year with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a steady run of it.
And they're almost a lock to have another one,
yeah,
barring a catastrophe the second half. Piazza's having a great first half.
Swings, and he strikes him out. 2 out. I tell you got to be careful now, Drayback. As Steve mentioned, his past history of bad starts are pretty well documented.
Well, Harry, he's one of those guys that if you let him off the hook, in the first couple innings. He is capable of beating you 5-4 or 6-4. I mean, he will get tougher as he goes along.
Here now is Wilkins. Boy, he throws that slow curve up there, and nobody seems to be able to do anything with it.
He's got one pitch that really gives Wilkins trouble, and that's the low-in breaking ball. He'll throw that curveball down and in, and Wilkins has trouble laying off it.
Whoa, that went behind him. And Wilkins takes a long look at Grayback.
Well, that one was well behind Wilkins. When we said down and in, we don't mean down and in quite this far. That's a slider, and that's about 2 feet behind Wilkins.
1 ball, 1 strike. At least it was low. Would not have hit him in the head.
No. Well, you don't try to hit him with a slider anyway, but that one really got away.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bottom of the third. Looper in the left field. There you are. And Wilkins just blooped one in the short left field.
And there's a couple of guys probably talking about not making the All-Star team, and they've got that in common. Both of them having the great first halves. Both of those young men, quality hitters, and both will make an All-Star team, if not next year, then certainly in the next couple of years, because they both have talent, and they're going to be around a long time.
Here's Yelding, who drove in a run with a base hit, his first time up. Curveball a little bit outside. This is the only game being played this afternoon. Everybody else, I guess, is scheduled tonight. 1 ball, no strikes. There's a curveball in there. What makes you think we're big in Vegas today? the only game they can bet on, since it's the only game being played, the Cubs and Houston. There's a pitch, swung and missed. Yelding, Eric Yelding, was with the Cubs, and then he went over to Houston. Then he wound up in Cincinnati, and now back with the Cubs. A valuable man to have around.
It's
1
not,
ball, 2 strikes.
It's not easy to be an extra man. You have to play a lot of different positions. Preferably, you have to have some speed and be able to occasionally hit off the bench, which is perhaps the most difficult thing in baseball.
Ground ball. Biggio there for the force out with a flip to Cedeno. Tommy will be along in a moment. I'm going to go over and join Ron Santo. Harry Carey from Wrigley Field, where at the end of 3, the Cubs are leading 4-2.
Images can change. Just like that when you change lenses. With the Rebel and EOS lenses from Canon, each and every EOS lens lets you take what you want. Images.
Image is everything.
EOS Rebel and Rebel S from Canon. So advanced, it's simple.
Can't believe he broke it at the company picnic.
Incredible. Our employee health plan covers him, right?
Not deductibles or co-payments.
So he has to lay out his own money.
Gaps in your health plan can be costly. Aflac can help. Aflac is a leader in supplemental insurance with 35 years of dependable service. Today, employees of over 80,000 companies count on Aflac for the peace of mind to get on with life.
Any ideas?
Yeah, Aflac.
Aflac, insuring over 35 million people worldwide.
What you're looking for at Sport Mart.
Like
like Louisville Sluggers, TPX Little League bets, $69.97 each.
And that's just part of the Sport Mart advantage.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You know he's not perfect, but on certain days in his life, he has been. The night he poured in 63 points. The time he crushed 3 home runs in the World Series. The day he found Dwight Clark in the end zone. And you wish at some point, at some moment in your life, you could be that perfect too. And that's why you cheer for him. That's why you believe in heroes.
Prepare yourself for a new kind of game.
4 officers have just disappeared.
On the next Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Sunday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Hi again, everybody. Back with our producer, director Arnie Harris and Steve Stone. I'm Tom Brenneman. Another hot, muggy day in Chicago, and the bat's certainly hot as well. The Cubs have opened a 4-2 lead for Mike Morgan.
Somewhat surprising because the Cubs usually don't hit Doug Drabek. He's 15-7 lifetime, Tommy, but today they've pecked away for 4 early, and now it's up to Morgan to hold it.
I remember a game, I think, last year when Drabek was still with the Pirates, however, Stoney, one of the more gutsy performances we've seen. He allowed 3 runs in the first inning, nothing thereafter. So he can get it done. Scott Service hit by Morgan, as you see, back his only trip of the ball game in the second inning. And he begins the 4th. 4-2 ball game with the Cubs leading Houston. We've only had 1 home run, and that was by Jeff Bagwell of the wind-blown variety, with a man aboard back in the 3rd inning, accounting for both Houston runs.
Well, I would be surprised if that were the last wind-blown home run, because the wind is blowing very briskly, and now it's shifted. Now it's blowing out toward the right field corner, so it's going to aid anything to right center.
0-2 to count, and it's a ball, 2 strikes. And you'd have to believe, looking at the left-handed bats for each team in the order, that that would help Houston a great deal, with the likes of the switch batting, Eric Anthony, or rather Ken Caminiti, and then straight left-handed batting, Eric Anthony. 2 powerful batters.
And on occasion, Luis Gonzalez can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's got 9 of them this year. So it'll be up to Morgan to keep the ball a little lower than he's kept it a lot of the time in the first 3 innings.
1-2 to Service, and it almost hit him again.
Well, Morgan has gone out there with an idea, Tommy, that he's going to knock these Houston hitters off the plate. And he's hit a couple of them. The first 2 men he's hit all year.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Morgan not missing by much on the outer edge, a couple of times to Service, who has done a very good job splitting playing time this season with left-handed batter Eddie Taubensee. But nothing wrong with the numbers from Service. 8 home runs, 24 driven in. And he hammers this ball deep into left field. Racing back in the corner, Derek May. And it is a foul ball. A fan got it.
Well, there's the fan that caught the ball, and that one just turned foul. Looked like it was going off the bat. But once again, the wind was pushing that ball and batting it down, and fortunately, the fan made the catch in the ballpark in foul territory, and it was a good catch.
Real good catch. One-handed grab. Haven't seen you even attempt to make one like that on rockets back to the booth.
Nor will you. We haven't had many in the booth in this ballpark.
No.
It is way up here.
Swing and a miss. Service out of there on strikes. 3rd. And now 4th strikeout of the afternoon for Morgan.
Here's a good hard slider low and away from Service. And this is a dandy. Pitcher's pitch, no chance to get it out there. You have to make a choice. You have to either lay off that ball or strike out. And Service did the latter.
Steve Finley had a broken wrist earlier this season when hit by a pitch from Pirate left-hander John Candelaria, and just now starting to find his stroke. He singled to center field his first time up.
You don't hear a lot about his bunting exploits, but probably Brett Butler's the best bunter around, and Finley is probably 2nd or 3rd in the league.
And with that in mind, Eric Yelding pulled in a couple of steps on the grass over at third base. Grace a step behind the bag at first as it goes to 3-0 on Finley. Again, a reminder, 4:05 doubleheader tomorrow. And then a single game Sunday beginning at 1:20. Then 3 days off for the All-Star break. Boy, oh boy, that ball hit Bruce Fleming, and I mean nailed him. I'm not sure Wilkins even got a piece of it.
Well, Bruce throws his mask in the direction of Rick Wilkins as if to say, catch the ball one time. Bruce is not happy about that. You expect the catcher to catch it. And Rick Wilkins, I think, is apologizing to Bruce Fleming. I don't know if he was crossed up or what the deal was, but Wilkins had a hard time catching the ball in this series. Let's watch it again. This one, pretty much right down the middle. And Wilkins just doesn't get the glove up. And Tommy, this has been a terrible catching slump for Rick Wilkins. And he really is, you can tell he's feeling bad for Bruce. But Bruce, not very happy about that situation, as you can expect.
I mean, the idea is the guy in front of you is supposed to catch a ball so you can determine if it's a ball or a strike.
Well, it was a strike. It struck him right in the bicep.
Boy, you're cold.
Watch Bruce again. He takes the mask. He'd probably like to hit Wilkins with it, but his arm hurts so bad that he can only throw it 3 feet.
Well, those of you with young members of your family watching, please don't try and read the lips of one Bruce Fleming right now.
Bruce is going to have a nice looking bruise on that right bicep.
Rick Wilkins was charged with 4 pass balls in a 3-game series against Cincinnati.
Well, that would have been a pass ball, except there was nobody on.
Right.
So the only one it hurts is Bruce Fleming.
Larry Dierker, former Houston right-hander, now turned broadcaster. I think he's eating this up. He had his run-ins a time or two with umpires to begin with. Not that he wants to see anybody hurt.
Well, that's a tough one for the umpire to take, because they get hit with so many foul tips that are just inadvertent that when you see a ball come right down the middle like that, the last thing in the world you expect is to get hit off the arm. So with his apologies to Bruce Fleming, who is now talking it over with Rick Wilkins, Rick is saying, well, Bruce, you're going to the All-Star game, I'm not, so
hang with him.
Have a good day.
And now Ed Montague, who thought for a minute he might have to take over for Fleming, comes out of the dugout, and he'll go back down the first base line. So the walk to Finley, 1 on 1 out. Cubs in front 4-2 here in the top of the 4th inning. That'll bring up Doug Drabek, who has hit a home run this season. But he'll be up there to move Finley down to second base with a bunt, and not many do it any better than Drabek. 8 sacrifices already this year.
You don't think Rick Wilkins asked Bruce where the last pitch was, do you?
No, I don't. Do you see Bruce run out of the way as soon as Morgan threw that ball? He made that call all the way from the Astros on deck circle.
Well, he's probably congratulating Rick Wilkins for catching that one. Knowing Bruce,
thanking him might be more like it. Finley can run. Drabek looking down to third base coach Tommy Spencer to get a sign here. Yelding about a third of the way in. 8 stolen bases for Finley. It's taken high. 1-1 to Drabek, who is up there to bunt again. Finley has been thrown out 4 times on the year.
Drabek and Harnish both with 8 sacrifices to lead this team in that department.
Finley being held by Grace, and he tries to bunt it, comes up empty. So Drabek, normally very reliable in these kind of situations, is down 2 strikes.
Tough to strike out these Astros, as you see by that graphic. Although Morgan has had pretty good breaking ball today and fanned him 4 times.
2-2. Biggio waiting on deck. Another good crowd on a lovely summer afternoon here in Chicago. Cubs started this 11-game homestand losing 2 of 3 to Cincinnati. It'll be a 4-game set against Houston. And then following the All-Star break, the Colorado Rockies come in for a 4-game series Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of next week. Throw down. No, there won't be a throw to second base. And Wilkins kind of shrugging his shoulders as if to say, where was somebody at the bag? Vizcaíno a wee bit late in getting over.
That's stolen base number 9, and Wilkins does come up with it. Looks at second. And it goes as a stolen base, so you don't have to bunt if you can do that, and Wilkins just couldn't get a handle.
3-2 coming to Drabek. And he punches one to the right side. Sandberg to his left will throw out Drabek, advancing the runner Finley down to third. 2 away in the inning.
Certainly looked like Doug Drabek swung at ball 4. That one looked to be low and out of the strike zone. And Sandberg did a pretty good job going to his left and making the play. So now, as you would expect, Biggio wanting to give Drabek on this very hot, very humid day a breath, taking his time. And that one is indeed well out of the strike zone. But Drabek decides to swing, and then Sandberg gets him.
Biggio, nothing of 2, struck out on a good Morgan changeup in the first inning, bounced out to Vizcaíno, leading off the third. But Biggio, 12 home runs this season. He's a dangerous hitter. Looks at a strike. Cubs 4, the Astros 2. Runner at third, Steve Finley. 2 men are out. Went after a bad pitch there. No balls, 2 strikes.
Biggio probably is just growing into his power. Last year hitting 6 home runs all season. And he played 162 games, so he played them all and only hit 6. This year he's doubled that.
Biggio remembers his park well. How about that? Goose Gossage, not a bad guy to pick up your first career home run against. A future Hall of Famer. On the ground of Vizcaíno. Fields cleanly, throws on to Grace, and that'll do it. No runs, no hits, 1 man left after 3.5 in Chicago. Cubs 4, Astros 2.
Good cops play by the rules.
Nice and legal.
Federal agent. On Channel 9, the gang from Full House and Saved by the Bell hit this ad for a 2-hour totally awesome beach party. Tuesday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Four-2 ball game. Cubs leading Houston as we're set to begin the bottom half of the 4th inning. It'll be Mike Morgan, Willie Wilson, and Jose Vizcaíno against Doug Drabek, who has allowed the 4 runs on 6 base hits. He had his first scoreless inning back in the 3rd. Cubs getting 3 in the opening frame, 1 more in the 2nd. Strike 1 to Morgan. Morgan not much with a bat this season. 1 out of 33. Doug Drabek looking for his 100th National League win today. He has just been sensational the last 5 seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And Mike Morgan still has one of those little wagers with Greg Maddux on hits for the year. He could have to buy Maddux a house before it's over.
You got that right. Little floater caught by Biggio to begin the bottom of the 4th inning. Maddux is tearing it up again this year.
Ernie Question's question comes from Julie Nave, who's from Hampton, Tennessee. And she wants to know, last year we had a question about girls being players, and she was wondering what you and I thought, Tommy, of girls being announcers. Now, although you're a fine-looking man, if I had a chance to broadcast with, say, Cindy Crawford, I would say that that would be a pretty good idea. So I'm all in favor of female announcers, Julie, and in fact there is a female PA announcer in San Francisco, the first in the major leagues this year. Tommy, how do you feel about that?
I don't think there's any doubt about it that over about the next 10 or 15 years, maybe sooner than that, that you'll see a female doing play-by-play on a regular basis for the Major League Baseball. I think it's terrific, long as they're not taking my job.
I feel the exact same way. So, Julie, grow up, be a broadcaster for, say, the Atlanta Braves or the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, and don't take my dad's job either in Cincinnati. He needs to work.
We thank you for the inquiry from Hampton, Tennessee.
Into center field, a base hit for Willie Wilson, his second of the game, and the 7th for the Cubs off Doug Drabek. But I think we will see it, don't you?
I certainly do. And I think you're seeing it now, Tommy, in some other sports. If not necessarily a play-by-play person, you've seen a lot of female color analysts in the various sports. Certainly tennis has been doing it for years. Golf has been doing it for years. And I think that we'll see it in a lot of different sports.
NBA this year, Hannah Storm did an outstanding job with NBC. Hannah's getting married, you know.
I could see by the look on your face that you follow that with interest.
Well, no, not particularly. I just know she's getting married. Runner at first. Willie Wilson picked up a stolen base back in the second inning, and for Wilson, it was the 665th career steal. He ranks 13th all time. Joe Morgan ranks 12th, the Hall of Fame second baseman. He had 689. Oh, and 1 to Vizcaíno.
Willie Wilson stole a base back in the second, and the one thing that Scott Service doesn't do exceptionally well is throw the ball. Now, he's a pretty good catcher, and he blocks pitches in dirt well, but his arm is just average by Major League standards, and Willie is a pretty good base runner. However, you have to watch the move of Drabek. He's one of the quickest around in his move to first, and I'm sure that Jose Martinez, who's a fine first base coach, has already alerted Willie Wilson of that fact.
Cubs 4, Astros 2, 1 on, 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Wilson, a short lead, doesn't appear to be running, and he doesn't as Vizcaíno slaps it out of play to fall behind at 0-2. Just at 24% for Scott Service, but that always doesn't tell the entire story, because a number of pitching staffs, the Mets were known for years and years as not ever holding anybody on. So the catcher wasn't given much of a chance. Of course, that's back when they had Gooden, Fernandez, and Cone, so it didn't matter if you stole second and stole third.
You could always steal on Dwight Gooden. You just couldn't get any hits. One and two as Jose takes a long look down to Chuck Cartier. I'm always interested, Tommy, and you got a 1-2 count. You're looking down at the third base coach. What's he going to tell you? Going through a set of signs. Don't strike out. I mean, what sign is there at 1-2?
I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out something new here in a minute. Make sure Willie gets back.
There's the 1-2 sign. It's my belt's loose. I got a bad elbow. So hit the ball somewhere and let me wave in Willie.
Vizcaíno hoping to follow orders. 1-2 delivery, and he took a called third right down the middle.
So you don't think that was the take sign, huh? But unfortunately, Jose couldn't pull the trigger. That looked like a fastball, and that's most unusual for him because he's hit the ball so very well this year in situations very similar to that. You just don't see many guys taking fastballs down the middle.
Sandberg doubled it, or rather had an infield single, scored a run in the first inning. He had a sac fly RBI and a line drive to center back in the second, bringing in Wilson from third base. See if Willie will get running now.
A young pitcher probably wouldn't be able to do what Drabek is trying to do, and that is you find many young pitchers, Tommy, that if they get rolling, then they can shut you out. But if they don't have it on a given day, if they give up 4 runs early, you're going to get a lot more and knock them out in the third or fourth. Drabek can go the distance.
That's why you had to be so impressed with Tim Pugh, a young rookie right-hander the other day with the Reds. Allowed 2 home runs, 3 runs total in the first inning. went the next 6 2/3 of 4-hit shutout baseball.
And that really is unusual for a young pitcher.
Raybeck career 15-7 against the Cubs. In the air, and it might be playable. Yeah, it will. Bagwell with room, and that'll do it. So in the inning, 1 hit, 1 left. We played 4 at Wrigley Field. Cubs 4, Houston 2.
A participating advertiser in value.
Prepare yourself for a new kind of game.
4 officers have just disappeared.
The next Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Sunday night at 7 on Channel 9.
A 4-2 ball game as we're set to begin the 5th inning here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. And leading things off will be the number 2 hitter, Luis Gonzalez, who's followed by Jeff Bagwell and Ken Caminiti.
Talked with manager Art Howe, and he said that Gonzalez so far has been a very streaky hitter, and he's just moving into one of his hot streaks. He said that he feels that as Gonzalez gets older, he'll get more consistent. But with him, it goes for a month where you can't get him out, and then another month or so where he can't get any hits. And right now, he's just starting to swing the bat again.
Well, Gonzalez still being bothered by a shoulder problem. He missed a great deal of time after separating the left shoulder last season. He attempted to make a diving catch in a game last week, and the shoulder popped out again. It's gotten to the point with Gonzalez who will need surgery at the end of the year. He strikes out swinging to begin the 5th, but at any rate, that thing will pop out of there, and he's gotten to the point now where he can just pop it back in himself.
Let's take a look at Jeff Bagwell and what he's done. What do you say about John Smoltz and his .320 ERA and .77 record?
I'd be interested to hear the answer to that myself, because that is, quite frankly, a joke. Now, if you ask the National League hitters, is John Smoltz an all-star pitcher, they'll tell you immediately he certainly is. But that's not the point. Into right field, Sammy there for the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, you can understand the thinking of Bobby Cox. Certainly, John Smoltz is his pitcher. And if you have a chance, you're going to make the man who is going to take you through the 2nd half happy. And he doesn't really care if he makes a lot of pitchers around the National League unhappy who've had great years. And, of course, from our standpoint, Tommy, we were rooting for Mr. Myers to make it with the great first half.
Sneak out for a station ID on the Cubs television network.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
2 down, nobody on. A 4-2 Cub lead over Houston here in the top of the 5th inning. Well, not only that, but Randy Myers was left off the team, but I mean the numbers just don't add up. Even if Smoltz is 7-7 with an ERA at .250, as he has a broken bat roller, Vizcaino bare hands and throw him out. What a play by Vizcaino, and gets a high five from Morgan on the way back to the dugout. A perfect 5th for the Cub right-hander as you get one more look. What a play. Still 4-2 Cubs.
It's a round world, genuine and true. It keeps on spinning and you always come through. And you're giving it your best. Proud to be your bud. Budweiser. Proud to be your bud. Proud to be your bud. Ooh, yeah. Proud to be your. Proud to be your bud.
To celebrate Buick's 90th anniversary, we proudly introduce the 90th anniversary LeSabre. LeSabre has a proven reputation for quality and the highest projected resale value in its class. Now, you get all this Buick quality, comfort, and elegance at a special anniversary price. The 90th anniversary Buick LeSabre. Quality its competition just can't hold a candle to.
If your business gives up AT&T quality because some other company predicts a deluge of savings on a long-distance call, don't be surprised if the forecast is wrong. Leaving AT&T doesn't make a lot of sense. If your business gives up AT&T quality, chasing after big savings from another long-distance company, don't expect to find a pot of gold. Leaving AT&T doesn't make a lot of sense.
Federal Agent Pagano fights to save his sister from the mob.
I'm gonna kill her!
Next time on The Untouchables.
Sunday night at 8 on Channel 9. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. Jaws, the original. Monday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Well, lovely day to enjoy a little sunshine in the bleachers here at Wrigley Field on this Friday afternoon. A lot of people cutting out of work a bit early, don't you think, Mr. Stone?
I do, and tomorrow, Tommy, they'll have double their pleasure because there's a doubleheader starting at 4:05 against the Astros. The gates will open at 3 p.m., so remember, a twilight doubleheader tomorrow against the Astros.
Mark Grace a check swing, and he went around too far. 0-1. Grace an RBI single in the first inning, scored a run. He lined to left field, ending the second. The pitching matchups tomorrow. Game 1, Pete Harnisch against Mike Harkey, and then in the nightcap, it'll be Brian Williams out of the bullpen against Jose Guzman. And again, 4:05 tomorrow.
I talked to Jose, and he says that his knee is feeling better. He said he tried to throw yesterday, didn't feel very good, but today he was able to bend down a little bit more, and he expects tomorrow that he'll be ready to go when his number is called in the second game.
One and one to Mark Grace. Goes to 2-1. You know, we started to talk about John Smoltz being a National League All-Star, and he's a great pitcher. I want to get that straight right from the start, but a 7-7 record and a 3.21 ERA. If he's somewhere down near a Kenny Hill or a Greg Maddux 2.6, 2.84 ERA, well, maybe you can understand it. As Grace goes to 2-2, Maddux has more starts than Glavine. Maddux leads the league in innings pitched. Smoltz is 7th. Complete games, Glavine has 4, Maddux has 4. Smoltz isn't on that list. Strikeouts, Smoltz is second to Jose Rijo, but Maddux is 4th. But that's Bobby Cox's prerogative as the NL skipper.
It is that. And Dennis Martinez said he was a little unhappy with his 10-5 record and 8 wins in a row, that he wasn't chosen, but that's what happens.
Well, forget about this one. It's on to Sheffield. Grace's 9th home run, and the Cubs have now made it a 5-2 game. Boy, did he hit that.
Well, Mark Grace said before the game that he works in the offseason with a personal trainer to get stronger. And this is a man that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but he's hit his 9th right there. His 2nd run batted in today, his 58th of the year. And there's an all-star send-off for Mark Grace, celebrating his 1st selection to the all-star team. And Montgomery Ward donates $100 to Cubs Care for the blast off the bat of Grace.
Derek May fouling away to first pitch from Drabek. Grace and Bagwell going toe-to-toe here today. Each has knocked in a pair. Here's one more look.
Fastball looks like it's outer half of the plate, and Mark Grace turns on it and gives it a long ride. That for Drabek is only the 7th home run he's given up in now 140 innings. And Mark Grace, very happy young man, talking about his newfound power before the game on leadoff man today, and he showed it to us here in relative prime time.
Oh, and 2 to Derek May, and now a ball and 2 strikes. Drabek has given up 5 runs on 8 hits. Morgan 2 runs on 4 Houston hits. By the mound, Cedeno backs up, throws to first, and it's in time. Close play. Cedeno's got a gun for an arm. He played that one a wee bit slowly.
Let's watch the Mark Grace swing. And this certainly is one of the best hitters in the game. And Mark now hitting .333 with his 2 for 3 today. And he lined out his other time. You know, Tommy had a chance to talk with Bill Wood, the general manager of the Houston Astros. He said that you're going to probably start seeing some activity in the trade front. He said because the period where you can make a trade without getting waivers on a player ends July 31st. And he says teams that are also rans at this point are going to start calling the contenders saying, what am I bid?
Off the mound, backhanded by Biggio, who will throw out Sosa for the second out of the inning. Well, the one very strongly rumored trade involves your buddy Dennis Martinez, perhaps headed to the San Francisco Giants. And what a pickup that would be for Dusty Baker's team.
Well, the Giants haven't shown any signs so far of needing Dennis Martinez, but anytime you can add a pitcher of his caliber, you would have to say that that would be a wonderful addition. They've got a 9-game lead over Atlanta, who can't seem to hit the baseball, and they've lost 3 games in a row, and San Francisco is just pounding people.
Boy, last night Barry Bonds continues to chalk up just unbelievable numbers. 24 home runs, 68 runs batted in, a .347 hitter.
And that team, Tom, is 10 games over on the road, the best in baseball.
1-1 to Wilkins.
It's just hard to imagine 10 games over 500 on the road when you look at the other road teams. Now, Philadelphia almost as good at 9 over, and nobody else in baseball is close to those two teams.
Ripped, but right at Biggio, which ends the inning. Grace plays long ball, 1 run, 1 hit. We head for the 6th at Wrigley Field. The Cubs 5 and Houston 2.
Hey, Cub fans, play the Michelob Golden Draft Ultimate Cubs Fantasy Sweepstakes.
You could win box seats at a future Cubs game at Wrigley Field and throw out the first pitch. There's Michelob Golden Draft baseball hats, T-shirts, and sunglasses, or the grand prize, a trip for 4 to the Cubs Padres series. Enter wherever you see this display, or print your name, date of birth, daytime, phone number, and complete address on a 3x5 card and mail to this address. Start holding a golden. Play the Michelob Golden Draft Ultimate Cubs Fantasy Sweepstakes.
Awesome Beach Party, Tuesday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Well, that happens to be one roof you can't watch a ball game from here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. You can watch just about everything else from there, though.
Well, Harry's always talking about broadcasting from the roof. That would be an interesting roof to broadcast from.
Well, Arnie'd find a way to get it done. As it's smoked to Grace, but he leaves his feet to haul it in. A hot smash off the bat of Eric Anthony.
Well, apparently Mark Grace feeling no ill effects of the strained hamstring that he suffered, because he is diving all over and hitting everything in sight. Very good play, and quickly 1 out here in the 6th.
I would imagine for Grace, a lot of players get tired about this time of year, but knowing that he's headed for his first All-Star game, perhaps an additional shot of adrenaline for the remainder of the year. There's another shot. Boy, they're hitting rockets off Morgan, but hitting him to Cub defensive players.
Andujar Cedeno right at Vizcaino. Last season, Mike Morgan 9-2 at home. This season, just 1-4. His ERA just unbelievable last year. This year's still pretty good, but up from last year, and so are the runners per 9 innings. So he has struggled at home, but he's got him hitting them at people today.
Fouled away by Scott Service. He's been hit by a pitch and struck out. The Astros come to town 3 games better than 500. Cubs need a sweep to be over 400 at the All-Star break.
Looks like Al Osuna loosening up in the bullpen. Al, who just had a terrible spring, so much so that they sent him back down to the minor leagues to try Eric Bell. That didn't last very long, as Bell got nobody out and Osuna was called back. And that's been the one trouble spot with the Astros this year. The bullpen, Tommy, has just been a disaster. And Doug Jones, who had 36 saves last year, has just 13. And the Astros are having big trouble getting people out late in the game as you look at Doug Jones.
1-2 to service, and it goes to 2-2. So you're saying we might be seeing him sooner or later?
Probably sooner than later. Doug Drabek has thrown an enormous amount of pitches today.
2-2 pitch. And it goes full count. Morgan's walked 1, hit 2 batters, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits. Both runs came on a Jeff Bagwell 3rd inning home run. Cubs 5 and the Astros 2. Nobody on, 2 men out in the 6th inning. Ball 4, second walk of the game by Morgan.
Now this is when you have to watch the bunt by Finley. And if he is going to lay it down, odds are he'll try to drag it up the first base side. The bullpen is already up and going. You're 3 runs down in the game if you're Art Howe, and you don't mind going to the bullpen. So let's see if Finley can keep it alive, and Morgan would just as soon retire him here and get out of this hot day.
Down the left field line, tailing away from Derek May, and he'll get it, crashing into the padding in foul ground down the left field line. Good play by Derek May to end the inning. You get one more look. The Astros leave 1. The Cubs hold on to a 5-2 lead.
A participating advertiser.
Some cops break all the rules. Charles Durning, James Woods, and Louis Gossett Jr. are the Choir Boys. Tonight at 11:30.
Tom Brenneman back with Steve Stone at Wrigley Field in Chicago. A 5-2 Cub lead in the opener of this 4-game series. Play a double dip beginning at 4:05 tomorrow afternoon. Single game on Sunday. Then it's the All-Star break. And then after the break, the Colorado Rockies come to town for a 4-game series beginning on Thursday. Boy, where was that pitch? Goes for ball 1.
Bruce thought it was a little high. Looked pretty good from here.
Yelding trying to bunt his way on. It's a ball to strike.
Well, the Astros decided that they needed better starting pitching, so they went out and they got Doug Drabek and Greg Swindell. And surprisingly, those starters haven't done particularly well, although Drabek has thrown well enough to win on many occasions. But the rest of the staff has come through, notably Darryl Kyle, who is going to the All-Star game.
And rightfully so, with a 10-1 record. There you see the numbers is what Stoney was alluding to. Rest of the starters outside of Drabek and Swindell, 12 games over 500, an outstanding ERA. Swindell has been the problem, however, as Drabek has actually pitched pretty well. 2-2.
Well, that's what Art Howe was saying. He said he's a lot like Greg Maddux in that respect. He said he's pitched well enough to win 3 or 4 more games, but sometimes the team hasn't picked up the ball behind him, and sometimes they don't get him much offense.
Yelding into right field. The ball will carry. And Anthony racing back almost to the warning track. Had to reach up above his head and haul it in.
Well, the wind is blowing out briskly. Now it's picked up. Looks to be about 20 miles an hour. Anything to right field is really going to be taken back. And Anthony, playing very shallow for Eric Yelding, has a long run back to the track.
Mike Morgan is struck out and lined softly to Biggio at second base. Morgan looking pretty strong here today. He's allowed some hard hit balls by the Houston batters, but atom balls right at his defenders. Ball 1. Drabek due to lead off the 7th inning, so this more than likely will be it for him. Cedeno waits for his second bounce, slings it over in time, 2 away.
Matt Galante, the infield coach, has worked long and hard with Andujar Cedeno on keeping his feet under him and making sure he sets up for the throw. This young man has a great arm. It's very strong. But he has a tendency, like Jose Offerman of the Dodgers, to play out of control at times, and he will make routine mistakes. But he's still a very young man. Galante, you see, who's at the bottom of your screen in the shot we had before, has tried to get him to get his feet under him, get balanced, and set himself for the good strong throw over there, because nobody can outrun his arm. He has got a cannon.
Willie Wilson's had a fine day. 2 out of 3 has stolen bases, scored a run. For a guy who runs as well as Wilson does, despite the fact that he turns 38 years old today, he rarely bunts.
And I would think he'd take advantage of that time, especially from the left side where he's a little weaker hitter.
Well, if he can't come to the ball game, may as well get some work done around the house.
And that's what I'll be doing right after the game.
You're
Washing up the old car.
Not a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Not a chance.
Sure. Out in the yard with the dog.
Kids.
Rented family.
Kids.
Rented children.
Wife.
Rented wife. And the car. And me. Hosing it off.
This booth needs to be hosed off. Here's a check swing dribbler to Biggio, and this will end the inning. Well, have fun washing your car later today.
Thank you, Tommy boy.
The limo's running. Harry's coming back. We go to the 7th, where it's a 5-2 Cub lead.
Laura Peters has lived in 7 different houses.
Cubs fans, spend an incredible evening with Ryne Sandberg, Mark Grace, Jim Lefevre, and the entire Cubs team as we set sail on the Cubs Care Cruise. Wednesday, July 28th, aboard the majestic cruise ship Odyssey. Enjoy impeccable cuisine while cruising Chicago's lakefront with Cubs players and coaches aboard Odyssey, the premier cruise ship of the Midwest. Tickets are $200 per person, and all proceeds benefit Cubs Care. For more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. Jaws, the original. Monday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Up in the air still.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. And look, we just walked into our booth. Pete Van Aken from Peoria. Jimmy Pearsall and I were just cutting you up a little earlier. There we go, top of the 7th.
Casey Candell coming on to pinch hit. He's 4 for 22 as a pinch hitter with a .242 batting average.
Candell, whose mother was a player in the old women's professional baseball league many years ago. Candell, a switch hitter. They use him everywhere on the infield and the outfield. Batting for Draybeck. Here's a curveball, a little bit outside. A couple people from Ireland, Paul Casey and Gil George, are here. Here's the pitch. Fouled off. Two and two. Ball 3 low. Well, it's amazing that Morgan hasn't shown more effect of the intense heat. He fouled the pitch off.
Draybeck went 6 innings, gave up 5 runs on 8 hits. And he didn't have his usual very good stuff today.
Hot shot to Gray. Makes the play easy. Boy, Mark made a great diving catch of a line drive off the bat of Eric Anthony for the first out in the 6th. Besides, he's driven in 2 runs. He's had 2 hits. He hit his 9th home run of the year. and he's ready for the All-Star game. There's Craig Biggio. He's nothing out of 3, and Morgan's made him look bad with his curveball. Fouled it back into the stand.
I think Morgan's done a pretty good job today limiting the Astros to just 4 hits, and they haven't had a hit since Caminiti singled in the 3rd inning. So he's been mighty tough on a very warm day in Chicago.
1 ball, 1 strike. Biggio takes it high. Bob Scanlon and Paul Osemacher getting ready in the bullpen. There's a strike call. Maybe Jim Lefevre figures, as well as Morgan is pitching, because of the heat, maybe get him a little help. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He swings, fouls it back.
Hey, Bob Verdi wrote an outstanding column on you today. Mr. Verdi chose to recognize you in the Tribune this morning.
Well, I read it, of course. I always read them, read good and bad, but it's especially gratifying coming from Bob because he's such an outstanding writer. Here's a pitch. Hit down to Yelding. Over to first. Nice of you to mention it. 2 men are out. You know, if Pete Van Hocken's a nice boy, I may take him out to Wheeling and treat him to dinner tonight. Wheeling, that's on Milwaukee Road.
Yeah, but please let
Harry
Pete drive.
Carey.
Let
Well, for Arnie, you lived a sheltered life. There's a long drive by Gonzalez on the run. Great play. What a fine play again by Derek May. He has become an outstanding ball player. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 7th, and the Cubs are leading 5-2. All right. Let me hear you. All right, Gary. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take.
Saturday night at 10:30.
Vizcaíno leading off in the bottom of the 7th. Here's a pitch, foul tip.
Al Osuna comes into the game. Osuna at 1-1, ERA 4.38, on for the 20th time. He's only thrown 12 1/3 innings. He's given up a couple of home runs.
Al Osuna, tall, lanky left-hander. Vizcaíno was called out on strikes his last time up, sacrifice in the 2nd, setting up a run, walked and scored in the 1st. Foul back.
Osuna appeared in 66 games last year with Houston. And the Astros desperately needed a left-hander coming out of spring training, and they gave Osuna every opportunity in spring training to make this team. But he just had such a terrible spring, they had to send him down. But last year at times he was a very good pitcher, used in the middle because he had no saves.
Hot shot. Oh, beautiful play by Cedeno. Throws him out. What a fine play by the young shortstop of the Houston Astros.
This shows you what an arm Andujar Cedeno has. Now here's a man that catches a ball going away, plants the back foot, and just fires it across. Vizcaino can get down the line pretty well, and he's thrown out by a half step. That was a great effort at shortstop.
One man on. A lot of shortstops like to throw. I remember Kessinger, Don Kessinger, the fine shortstop of the Cubs during the Ron Santo, Ernie Banks, all that time, or early 60s, late 60s. Kessinger had that play where he'd go to his right, make the stop, leap in the air like a basketball player, and get the ball to first base in time. But with a guy with a great shortstop's arm, I like to see him brace themselves like Cedeno just did. Here is Sandberg, who's driven in the run, number 28 for the year, with 1 out of 2. A little tap. Fair ball, he's out. The catcher, good play by Scott Service, who jumped on that tap in a hurry to keep from going foul.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has a right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited. Sandberg didn't know if the ball was fair or foul. Then realizing that it is a fair ball, as called by Bruce Fremming, he had to take off, but no match for the arm of Service.
And here's the hitting star of the day, Mark Grace. 2 out of 3. The one time they got him out, he hit a bullet of a line drive directly at Luis Gonzalez, the left fielder. Facing the southpaw now. Grace, a fine hitter in that. He hits the ball all over. Is the pollen count high?
Well, I guess so.
Here's the pitch swung on and foul. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
2 balls and a strike, 2 out. 5-2 in favor of the Cubs. They haven't announced a crowd yet, I don't think. I haven't heard it.
Looks to be about 33,000. There's a few seats empty, but they're way high up, down each line in the upper deck.
The pitch. That's a ground ball headed for right field. Nice play by Biggio. Over to first to retire the side. 1, 2, 3 at the end of 7. 5-2 Cubs.
Thank you. All begins.
Harry Carey and Steve Stone as we go into the top of the 8th.
Have you ever wondered how police deal with the pressures of their job? Well, later tonight at WGN, a group of cops does it by engaging in some very unusual choir practice.
Choir Boys. Oh boy, that's a great movie.
Well, it's Lou Gossett Jr. and James Wood who star in Choir Boys tonight at 11:30 on WGN Channel 9.
0-1 the count, and this is Jeff Bagwell, perhaps their best hitter. He certainly has the best batting average, .326. He's hit 14 homers. He's driven in 57 runs. Bouncing ball, Vizcaino over to first.
Bullpen is up and going for the Cubs, but so far Morgan needs no help at all as he's been brilliant today. Since the third inning, the Astros have been able to mount nothing but a couple of walks against him.
One out. Here is Ken Caminiti, who's 1 out of 3 today. Swung at a slow curve. Boy, that's Mike Morgan's bread and butter pitch, it seems like. He makes hitters look bad on that slow change of pace curveball it is. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now his fastball, he has a tendency to get up high, and that's where they hit him for the long ball. There's a long fly ball. Willie Wilson waiting. 2 out.
Morgan has thrown 12 ground balls today, which is a little lower than normal for him. He's given up a couple line drives and a few more fly balls than normal, but they're not hitting him real solidly.
The only inning they really looked like they hit him solidly was the first 2 men up in the 6th. Grace made a great catch on Anthony's fly ball, and then Cedeno lined to Vizcaíno, and now on the first pitch, Eric Anthony flies out to Derek May. We go in the bottom of the 8th, and the Cubs lead 5-2.
Prepare yourself for a new kind of game.
4 officers have just disappeared.
On the next Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Sunday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Federal agent Pagano fights to save his sister from the mob.
I'm gonna kill her!
Next time on The Untouchables.
Sunday night at 8 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey back at the ballpark. Here is Derek May, who's been an outstanding ball player. 2 great defensive plays. Drove in the 2nd run with a double to right. After Grace had started the scoring in the 1st with a single to left. Osuna. The count is evened up. Al Osuna. Six feet 3 inches tall. Big left-hander. Swung and he fouled it back. It's the only game in the major leagues today. Everybody else playing tonight. Be interesting to see whether Mike Morgan pitches the 9th. He struck him out. He tried to check his swing, but he went around. May call out on strike. The reason I said it'll be interesting because Mike Morgan doesn't have a complete game all year. That's going to be all for Osuna. And Sammy Sosa. Art Howe, the manager of the Astros, is out there. We're going to have a new pitcher. We'll tell you more about him following this message.
There are many ways.
Doug Jones, a right-hander, will be the new pitcher for the Astros. He's had an unfortunate year. He came through very well for him last year, but this year's been a different story.
And this is what Art House said he would do before the game. He said that he would try to get Doug Jones in non-save situations until he straightened himself out. Xavier Hernandez has taken over as the stopper until Jones has righted the ship. Jones, who had 36 saves last year, finds himself with an inflated ERA of .563 and a 3-6 record. He is making his 38th appearance, and he has been pounded much of this season.
Here's Sammy Sosa. Ground ball foul. And that, of course, is the reason for the move of Art Howe. He didn't want the left-hander pitching to Sammy Sosa. Sammy hits left-handers better than he does right-handed. 1 out. Jones. Strike 2 call. Doug Jones, 6'2", 195 pounds. 36 years old, lives in Tucson, Arizona. He was with the White Sox a couple of years ago, right?
Well, they just signed him, Harry, to a long-term deal, or a very big deal, after the big year last year. And they have him this year and next year for a lot of money, with an option for the year after that.
0-2 count. He checked his swing. The ball hit his bat and went foul. 0-2.
Jones had some very good years with the Cleveland Indians. And then he fell on some hard times there and was a free agent. And struck gold last year with the Astros.
0-2 the count. Little bit outside. He laid off of it. Billy Williams working with Sammy Sosa just to get him a little more disciplined as to what is the strike zone. Smacked it hard, foul. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Mike Morgan has been the dominant pitcher all day. Be interesting to see if he gets a chance to complete this game, going for his first complete game of the year. Again, he fouls it back. Jimmy Lefevre, there's nobody in the bullpen with a phone, I don't see. He's talking to somebody. Well, it is Tony Muser with the telephone. We see him now. There he is. A little tap, foul. Again, Service trying to keep the ball fair, something he did very well a little earlier in the game.
Sammy likes to take long walks between swings, and Bruce Fremming, who is having a very hot and very uncomfortable day behind the plate, just looking at Sammy as if to say, getting a little long here, Sammy, get back in the box.
I'm going to go see Frankie LaFranza, my barber, after the game. I'm just wondering whether he's Sammy's barber too. Here's a pitch, foul back. He keeps fouling the pitches off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We're in the 8th. Cubs lead 5-2. Ooh, a little bit outside.
Sammy's used to those American League at bats that take about 5 to 7 minutes.
Ground ball off the pitcher's glove. He might beat it out. A base hit. And Sammy just bounced one off the pitcher's glove. He goes for a hit.
First hit of the day for Sosa. He gets a changeup. Doesn't hit it hard, but puts it in the perfect spot. Cedeno comes across, tries to swipe at it. And Sammy now 1 for 4.
Sosa's name spelled backwards is Asos. Asos. Sammy gets a lead at first base. 1 out, 1 on. Rick Wilkins, who's 1 out of 2. Hit the ball harder the second time when he was retired, a line drive to Biggio, than he did the first time when he singled the left.
Randy Myers getting loose in the bullpen.
Now the pitch. A little bit inside. Myers very philosophical about not making the All-Star team. He said he just wanted to represent the Cubs. 1 ball, 1 strike. There goes the runner. And the throw, he is going to be safe. The ball bounces into center field, and Sammy advances to third. I think that's about 14 stolen bases.
That's exactly what it is. He's been caught 4 times. And now we'll see who picks up the air on this throw. It goes as the air on Cedeno. Cedeno, his 14th air.
So runners at third with only 1 out. Cubs with a chance to pick up an insurance run.
Well, odds are they're not going to get Sosa on this one, whether he catches the ball or not. But it's a moot point as the ball goes into center field as Cedeno just takes his eye off the ball. And Wilkins with an RBI situation.
And Doug Jones getting set. Only 1 out. There's the strike call. Jones is 1-3. He has saved 13, but has a very high earned run average for a closer, 5.63. Fouled it off. 2-2. We're in the 8th. Better than 35,000 paid. The Cubs have drawn well over 1,322,000 for the year. This is their 42nd home date. 39 to go. Pitches inside. They play a doubleheader tomorrow. Their average will go down because 2 games for 1 admission. And 1 date. Line foul into the bullpen of the Astros. Ed Taubensee, the other Astros catcher, who's a left-hand hitter. Scott Service catching today, a right-hand hitter. 3 balls, 2 strikes, infield in. Hot shot. Holds Sammy at third. And Biggio picks the ball up and throws. Wilkins out at first.
Well, what this does is keep Randy Myers in a save situation. It's a 3-run lead, and if the lead stays at 3, Myers will be able to pick up a save. If Eric Yelding can get him home with a base hit, it'll be a different situation. It'll just be an appearance.
Eric Yelding drove in a run his first time up with a base hit off of Doug Drabek. Yelding 1 out of 3. Swung and a miss. He swings a lot with his body falling backward, but his hands carrying the bat come forward. As you can imagine, not much power. 0-2, but he has hit a homer this year. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Runner at third. Boy, Mark Grace really creamed one today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Cubs got 3 runs in the first. Ball 3. After Wilson lined out, Vizcaíno walked, Sandberg singled, Grace single to left, driving in Vizcaíno. May double to right, driving in Sandberg. And then Yelding drove in the third run. There's a long drive going to be caught. Finley in center field retires the side. So, no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 8, the Cubs are out in front 5-2.
A participating advertiser in...
Some cops break all the rules. Charles Durning, James Woods, and Louis Gossett Jr. are the Choir Boys. Tonight at 11:30.
Harry Carey back at the ballpark. Here's the Buick game summary up to the moment. The Cubs are leading 5-2. Derek Mays extended his hitting streak to 15 games in a row. Mark Grace has started the plate with an RBI single to end a long home run. And Houston, 16 of the last 18 batters have been retired. As Mike Morgan, going for his first complete game of the year, has been outstanding. Cedeno will lead it off. The bullpen is warm. Everything is warm here today. Randy Meyer is ready if needed.
This would only be the second 9-inning complete game the Cubs staff has thrown this year.
Here's a pitch, swung and miss. And the only other man is Jose Guzman in his first start as a Cub in April against Atlanta, where he had a no-hitter for 8 2/3 innings. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cedeno. Nothing out of 3. Has hit the ball sharply. Mike Morgan's allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, walked 2, and fanned 5. 111 pitches, not bad. Struck him out. Cedeno becomes a 6th strikeout victim. Let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
1 out, 2 to go. Here is Scott's service. Hit by a pitch ball, fanned and walked. Morgan has hit 2 by pitches. Laird's a base hit, a line single to right. Service on the first pitch. Singles to right, and that brings up Steve Finley.
And that brings Jim Lefevre out from the dugout, and that's going to mean Randy Myers is probably going to come in what will be a save situation.
Jim had already made up his mind. He let him start this inning, figuring if he could retire him in order, he'd let him go 9. He's pitched a good ball game on a very hot day. He leaves with a... Listen to the hand the crowd giving Mike Morgan. And to his father and family in Las Vegas, Henry and the crowd, you should have been here today. He really pitched tremendously well. We'll have more for you in a moment.
The laboratories of 2000.
We're back at the ballpark. Randy Myers is going for his 27th save of the year. Boy, that's a very good operator of snow cones right there. And he's got a lot of business.
Randy Myers, the best short reliever not going to the All-Star game, coming in at 1-2, the ERA 2.41, on for the 37th time. He's given up 29 hits in 37 1/3 innings. He's fanned 48, walked just 14, and Kevin Bass is going to be the first man that he faces.
Bass, a pinch hitter, swings at the first pitch, fouls it back. Lee Smith of the St. Louis Cardinals, who have 50 victories, 16 games above 500, leads the league with 30 saves. Randy Myers, pitching for the Cubs, has 26 saves. He leads Lee Smith. Whoa, there's a high drive. Going to be caught. Derek May going back. Easy out. So 2 men are gone. Runner's still first. Myers has blown only 2 saves. It'll be 27 out of 29 opportunities. Smith, I know, has blown at least 4. The crowd is on its feet. Chris James will be the pinch hitter, batting for Doug Jones. James hitting .271 with 4 homers. 3 out of 15 is a pinch hitter. 0-1 the count, 2 out. Strong, and he missed the slider. Now ready. 0-2. Outside, 1-2. Randy Myers going for his 27th save. He's one of several who've had at least 30 saves with 4 different ball clubs. Cubs win! And again, Randy Myers ends it with a dramatic flourish, striking out the hitter. And this ball game is over, and the Cubs have defeated Houston. Not only have beat Houston, but beat one of their best pitchers in Doug Drabek, who's the loser here today. A big crowd enjoyed every moment of it, and now a doubleheader tomorrow.
And the Cubs now have moved within 1 game of 500 once again. They're trying for their 21st time at 500 during the doubleheader tomorrow. They're now 13.5 games in back of Philadelphia. The Cubs moving up on Montreal. Montreal leads them by just 4 wins. In the loss column, just 2 losses separate the team. So perhaps the Cubs have a realistic shot at overtaking Montreal. If not by the All-Star break, then soon after the break. And the Cubs played a very good ball game, but it's set up by just an outstanding pitching performance by Mike Morgan. You know, the hit he gave up in the 9th inning was the first hit that the Astros got since the 3rd. And this was a tough day to pitch. The wind was blowing out all afternoon. It was a very hot and muggy day, and yet Mike Morgan, who has struggled at times this year, put together a beauty here in the first game of a 4-game series. And that's the difference in the Cubs team. If they get good starting pitching, they look like a pretty solid ball club.
Well, the Cubs are now 41-42 for the season. And Houston is now 43-41 loss. Only 2 games above 500. So there's the final score, and we'll be back now in a moment.
Sand and Surf, Hansen, Roy Scheimer, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. Jaws, the original. Monday night at 7 on Channel 9. His dad's being held hostage in the Middle East, and he's going in to get him in a stolen F-16. Louis Gossett Jr., Iron Eagle. Saturday night at 10:30.
The Budweiser playing today with a score of 4-2, leading off in the 5th inning. Mark Grace hit this pitch out onto Sheffield Avenue. And it was his 9th home run of the year, his 58th run batted in. He's 4th in the league among leading run drivers in. And that's why it's a Budweiser play of the day as the Cubs win a fine ball game 5-2. We'll be back in a moment.
wide.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You know he's not perfect, but on certain days in his life, he has been. The night he poured in 63 points, the time he crushed 3 home runs in the World Series, the day he found Dwight Clark in the end zone. And you wish at some point, at some moment in your life, you could be that perfect too. And that's why you cheer for him. That's why you believe in heroes.
The laboratories are one at these fine stores.
Well, Steve, a great ball game, a thrilling ball game. Fine pitching by Mike Morgan. A good mop-up job by Randy Myers. His 27 save and 29 opportunities. And boy, he really deserves to be on that all-star team, but we won't talk about that. It was a team victory, and maybe what our ball club has needed is real hot weather.
Well, I think it's the M&M boys, and if you can get just to them, you're in pretty good shape. And it's Mike Morgan who took the team into the 9th inning. And Randy Myers with a relatively easy save today for his 27th. And Harry, the team looks completely different when you get a good starting performance. And Mike Morgan was absolutely brilliant today. He got just enough hitting and some very good defense behind him, and they won the ball game.
Well, it comes as no news to any reporter, but the name of the game is pitching. Anybody that's got good pitching is in the ball game. If you have bad pitching, you're going to get beat. And with 3 of your regular pitchers on the disabled list, the Cubs have had bad pitching. And I think they're fortunate to be where they are, only a game under 500.
Well, you pointed it up a few days ago when you talked about this ball club not being perhaps the most talented team in the league, and that's becoming very obvious as we head past the midway point. But the fact that Jim Lefevre has this ball club playing as hard as they can every day, they really haven't given up. They've had a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of things that they had to fight through this year as a team, and yet they find themselves 1 game under 500. However, Harry, the league has told the Cubs that this is an average team, a team that is not going to put together a 10-game winning streak nor a 10-game losing streak. What you have to do with a pretty solid nucleus, and you've got about 8 or 9 guys having career years for the Cubs this year, you have to add to it. And talking with Bill Wood, the general manager of the Houston Astros, he told me that the deadline for waivers is July 31st, and he expects from now until July 31st see a little movement among the general managers in positioning for the playoffs. And if that's the case, there are some trades to be made. And tomorrow between the doubleheader, we'll have an opportunity to talk live with Larry Himes and maybe explore that a little more fully.
I just wonder who you would have that you can make any trades on other than your middle infielders. You have 2 of the best young shortstops maybe in the game today. You're not going to trade them both away. You're certainly going to keep one of them. But that's really, you're not going to trade Sandberg. You're not going to trade Grace. You're not going to get any value. You're not going to trade Wilkins. He's set for another 10 years. And he's going to do nothing but get better and better, especially defensively. So I just wonder what really is the skill of some of the other position ball players that they have at Iowa, have in AA also. This Zambrano has had a tremendous year. I look for him to be here for the second half of the season because they could use at least a little hitting punch off the bench in a close ball game. One of the things I was impressed with today, at long last, it's a long way to wait for it, but Willie Wilson looked like the Willie Wilson I remembered in the American League. He hit the ball good. He went out and ran good. And maybe he's just coming around. That he could be of tremendous help in the second half. I don't know where they're going to finish, Steve, and I'm sure nobody does, including yourself. But I think they're showing the second half will be better than their showing was the first half.
Well, the one thing they do have to perhaps trade is something that everybody needs, and that is a left-hand pitcher. Because going down the stretch, there's a lot of teams, Harry, that would like to add one left-hander to their bullpen. That one left-hander being Paul Assenmacher, Dan Plesac. Of late, Plesac is throwing the ball a little bit better, and Paul Assenmacher is a man who can always give you a lot of appearances and get a left-hand hitter out. So perhaps one of those guys might be used in a trade to bring the Cubs back a young prospect that maybe if not this year, but they can use next year.
I like Assenmacher. I'd like to have him stick around because he's still the only guy we got that can go in the ball game, and you can bet his chances of getting a left-hand hitter are pretty good. I know that somebody's going to hit him now and then. That happens to anybody. But he is, I think, more sure as a left-hander relief pitcher than anybody else we have, and that includes attitudes. I would like to see McElroy employed one time in the minor leagues. It can't do anybody any harm. Just see if he can start the ballgame. I have the feeling that by character, he's the kind of a guy that would be a better starter than he would be a reliever.
Well, he was not a good reliever this year. He was a very good reliever last year. But Chuck McElroy fell on hard times. Once again, tomorrow we'll talk to Larry Himes about his motivation for sending him down, and hopefully we'll be able to get an answer from him just what he intends to do with Chuck McElroy. McElroy at first, Harry, asked for a trade when he was sent down. That's a natural reaction, a disappointment of a pretty good pitcher over the last couple of years who has to go to the minor leagues. But we do have some left-handers, and I, like you, like Paul Ossenmacher. He's a very good pitcher, and he can get left-handers out. But if you're going to make a trade late in the season, you're going to have to trade some value. And if you're an also-ran, you realize, Harry, that you're not winning with the guys you have on the current roster. Sometimes you have to give up somebody that you'd like to keep in hopes of getting somebody to help build for next year. Because I don't think this is going to be the year for the Cubs to make a run at the Phillies or St. Louis or whoever comes in on top.
Well, now listen, don't use up all your good material. You got a 10th inning show to do it. See you later.
Okay.
All right, speaking, well, first of all, the totals for the Cubs: 5 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. The winner, Mike Morgan, 6 and 9. And Randy Myers advancing in the streets of Vancouver, Washington. Randy Myers picks up the save, his 27th out of 29 opportunities. For the Astros, 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 error. The loser, Doug Drabacki, now has won 7 and lost 9. Mike Morgan is 6 and 9. Speaking for Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman, Harry Carey from Wrigley Field, wishing all a very pleasant good afternoon as the Cubs have won the first game of the series, beating Houston 5-2. The producer director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. Can I stop and get the rest of my figure out of the fan? The coordinating producer is Bill Borson, and our associate producer is Joe Carneal. Well, these two clubs will play again tomorrow, the Houston Astros and the Chicago Cubs. Listen closely now. Tomorrow afternoon, starting a twilight doubleheader. And the telecast time at 4 o'clock, the first game of that twilight doubleheader, Chicago time. Harry Carey from Wrigley Field. So long, everybody.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9. The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who remind you friends know when to say when. True Value Hardware Stores. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. Aflac, insuring over 35 million people worldwide. And by your local 76 dealers, who invite you to go with the spirit of 76.
Not many things are more Chicago than United, but there are a few. United, Chicago's hometown airline, and the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. Come fly the friendly skies.
Son, now what do we say?
The 10th inning is brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Welcome to the 10th inning. The Cubs do it today with outstanding pitching, both from Mike Morgan and Randy Myers. Morgan, on a very hot day with the wind blowing out, took the game into the 9th inning, and then Randy Myers came on for his 27th save of the year. The Cubs got just enough hitting and some pretty good defense, and they did in the inconsistent Houston Astros. So stay with us. We'll be back with the highlights after these messages. In the first inning, 1 of 2 Mark Grace runs batted in, and it's 1-0 Cubs over Doug Drabek, who went in 15-7 lifetime against them. Vizcaino scores, and the Cubs in the first inning making life miserable for Drabek. Derek May comes up, driving in his 46th run of the year, driving it over the head of Eric Anthony, and the Cubs are on top 2-0 as Sandberg scores easily. Eric Yelding had a great at-bat against Drabek, 10 pitches. Finally, dropping one off the glove of Drabek, he beats it at first, and the Cubs up 3-0. Then Ryan Sandberg comes up. He hits a sacrifice fly in the second, and it's a 4-0 game. Fine play by Steve Finley, but he can't get Willie Wilson at the plate. And the Astros start coming back. Jeff Bagwell hits one up into the wind, his 14th home run of the year. He's now driven in 57, and it's a 4-2 game. And Mark Grace, headed to the All-Star game, gets in the act once again. His second run batted in of the day, his 9th home run of the year. He's now driven in 58, and that ends the scoring with the Cubs winning 5-2. And we'll be back with a final word after these messages.
Rapids, Dundee, Illinois.
It's a twin bill tomorrow starting at 4 o'clock, and we'll see you then. So long, everybody.
Guests on the 10th inning will receive a handsome Fendi wristwatch from Henry K. Jewelers, 547 North Michigan Avenue, or the 3rd level Water Tower Place. The 10th inning was brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Federal agent Beguile fights to save his sister from the mob.
I'm gonna kill her!
Next time on The Untouchables.
Sunday night at 8 on Channel 9.
I know